Hello, hello, hello. Hey, Jordak. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. Welcome. How's everybody doing? On a blessed Wednesday. It's Wednesday, my dudes. Hey, how you doing, man? Good to see you over here, Nicholas. Matthew, hello, hello. Dick Defrag. Dr. Weirdness. Dick Defrag is such a good name. I helped you get into CUD. You have 800 hours in it. Wow. And you know the crazy thing is I only have like over 1,000. So dude's been going hard on CUD. I would like to do a the cybernetic tier list at some point as well. You know what? Let's bring some visuals in here, shall we? Hello. How's everybody doing? Hey, Chenchella. How you doing? You just started watching me recently. You ever played Adam, NetHack, or LAN? I played Adam, and I played a little bit of NetHack. I love all of those kind of games, but really I think the only other one that I've ever really super been into is Tales of Magi, and a little bit of Dungeon Crawl, Stone Soup as well. I have an awful cough at the moment, so if I suddenly go quiet, just know it's because I'm coughing my lungs out. Hey, Shokarada, how you doing? WW, hello. Yeah, Tales of Magi is really good. I would like to dive back into that game at some point. I bought a new game today. OpenSewer. And I've only played like 2 hours of it, but I'm loving it so far. I think it would be a great stream game for the future once I kind of get the hang of the ropes. Get the hang of the ropes? Learn the ropes, that's what I meant to say. How's everybody doing anyway? Thank you guys for being here. We'll wait like we'll wait another 5-10 minutes for people to come in, and we're gonna dive straight into it. I'm hoping to get this tier list done. Like, how long did the last one I think took like 4 hours? If we can get it done a little quicker this time, I'll be very happy, but I'll be honest, I think it will still take about the same amount of time. For all of the people here now, I will allow, after I pass my judgment on a specific mutation, I will allow like counterpoints from you guys as well. And then we'll maybe go back and rejudge if needed. I do have a habit of being very judgmental with certain things, light manipulation, for example. Hey, Demonolithic, how you doing, dude? Yeah, Cogmind is for Sunday, so this weekend coming. And also Drover will 100% be... I've had to fight myself to not play Drover. That will be a stream game, absolutely. But yeah, Cogmind will be happening on Sunday. So Wednesdays and Sundays are my 2 days for streaming now. On Twitch it says I'm offline, huh? Weird, it shouldn't. Let me take a look into that. Thank you very much for letting me know. Hey, Monkey God. Does it really say I'm offline on Twitch? Let's have a quick look, shall we? It does show it. Wait, hold on. Yeah, I don't know why that is. It does indeed show that I'm offline. Give me a moment. How about on YouTube? Is it okay on YouTube? Let me I'm gonna cut the Twitch stream and then jump back and hope that that sorts it out. PRECOGNITIon. Maybe you'll have to watch and see.
Is now following.
Mr. Spaghetti, thank you very much for the resub. Monkey God, thank you very much for the follow as well. Appreciate it.
Flip.
Okay, I'm back on Twitch, hopefully. Maybe. Let me know if it cuts out again. I don't know why that's happening. In OBS, I'm using this multi-stream software now, and it's set up initially for YouTube. And I know Twitch can sometimes be a bit funny with the bitrate as well. Corrosive gas, SSSS. Yeah, I mean corrosive gas. I mean, we all know what I'm gonna rank that. There's not gonna be any surprises. You started playing Cock 2 days ago. Hello, Maybe Logic, how you doing? You found Sardamus and Red Rock. I think did you make a post about that on the subreddit? You're not much of a video game person, but was attracted to it. You hated it at first, but my videos helped. I'm really glad. I hope you're having a good idea, a good time. Okay, we're back up on Twitch. That's good. If it goes down again, let me know. Mr. Perambulator, thank you very much for the follow. Yeah, we'll wait a few more minutes and then we'll jump straight into the tier list here. Hey, Mr. Perambulator, thank you very much for the sub with your Prime with that Jeff Bezos money. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. You put corrosive gas in B tier. I think B tier is very, very unfair. But you know what? Each to their own, right?
Wizard MP4 is now following.
Wizard MP4, thank you very much for the follow. You're very welcome, Mr. Perambulator. I'm glad that my videos helped you, and I hope that your current run is going very, very blessed. In my Season 5 run, why didn't I clone the ring that gives +1 to mutations? I do not remember. Season 5, that's my current season, right? XX? Hey, Lewis, how you doing? Good to see you again. Can you return to the Sultan tombs after you entomb? You can indeed. Just be aware that the the cherubs will be hostile. So I think though you can bypass that maybe by re-tattooing the mark of death. I'm not sure. You'll have to try that one. I actually don't know the answer to that. My goodness, this cough. This is the current season. Oh, I have no idea. In slight spoilers, but the video I recorded today, I wasted a lot of polygel. Not wasted, but I used a lot of polygel. If you've just joined, after I rank a mutation, you'll have you guys can tell me if I'm wrong. You know, in your opinion. By the way, this video is probably going to annoy quite a lot of people, but if you're watching this in the future and you feel like leaving a horrible, stupid comment, firstly, I'm still going to like it and it's going to make me laugh, so thanks. And also, thanks for the engagement. But also, you know, don't waste your time. Alright, shall we jump into this then? I think it's about time we get started. So we can either on my other monitor I have a little browser open So if we need any details on certain mutations, I can look at that. If you guys want to see that, I can put it on the screen as well. Otherwise, I'm just going to read off what's happening. I'm going to keep the music playing for the time being. I'll probably put some headphones on also. Yo, Righteous Borner, you'll give me a mean comment. I look forward to it. I bet you have 3 books in the background you haven't read. I have a lot more than 3 that I haven't read. a lot more. Alright, let's do this. Bing bong, here we are. This is my lovely tier list. I actually made this about a year and a half ago for the previous video. I'd also be interested to go back to see that previous video and see what changed. I know I'm definitely going to rank things differently this time. But let's kick it off, shall we? We're going to do it in alphabetical order, because that's the only real way of doing anything in life. And I guess we're starting with adrenal control. What does adrenal control do? It increases all of your other mutations by a set amount, depending on its level. Bing bong, by the way. Hello Fred, how are you doing, my dude? Malay Kinra, good to see you, first time chatter. It, Demonolithic, thank you very much for gifting Matthew a membership. I appreciate it. Okay, adrenal control. Increases your physical mutations by a set amount depending on the level. It also gives you extra quickness, starting I think 10 quickness at level 1. That alone is pretty sick, but it's not the 15 quickness you get from you know, heightened quickness or photosynthetic skin. So where does this go? I think adrenal control can be really good if you're using a lot of physical mutations. If you pop it early before you use any of your other mutations, that's the, you know, the order of operations. I think it can be really good. I think there's even a case to put it in A tier. However, I think for now I'm gonna put it in B, but it's like a high B. I don't know if I should really change any of these, but I think for now it's either here or here. It's kind of in between. It's a B+, you know. I could be persuaded into putting it into A. For now, it's going in B.
John Kabonka is now following.
John Kabonka, thank you very much for the follow. You know, normally these kind of tier lists, they tend to make like a kind of like a bell curve type of shape, so I will move some stuff around. Hurt Smith, thank you very much. What I'll do is between each of these rankings, I will address any kind of alerts and read chat as well. Your first win was with adrenal and unstable genome. It's very situational. It's a build around. You can pick it with Chimera, but if you're running generic mutation build, you roll this. Yeah, that's another thing to take into account as well. If I were to spend 4 mutation points, which by the way this does cost 4, I would not be happy to see it. Personally. So I'm gonna leave it at that for now. Also, yeah, remembering to actually use adrenal control. It doesn't always work out. Hey, Nicholas, thank you very much for the gift. Chacola. If anybody is gifted a sub or a membership today, please use your first emoji to thank the person who gifted it to you. It would mean a lot to me. Alright, number 2. Let's have a look at BEAK, shall we? BEAK costs 1 point. This is the junk tier mutation. There's a few of these, you know, all of the 1 costers. This gives you rep with birds. It gives you 1 ego. And it gives you a beak. You can still wear masks though. I believe you can still wear masks, right? There's no... Yeah. I think, honestly, the fact that this gives 1 extra ego makes it slightly better. But let's be honest, it's like a D plus. Solid A. I mean, the bird rep is not important at all. In as far as rep goes, the one ego is nice, but it's one ego. It's a D, simple. I don't know if I can put it in C. It just feels wrong. So that's BEAK. Hey, Hertzsmith, thank you very much. I appreciate the 5 gifted, man. Thank you very, very much. Oh, thank you very much, Hertzsmith. I appreciate it. It's also nice to see some people still on Twitch. I know, like, now I get a lot more viewers over on YouTube. But the engagement on Twitch is pretty sick still. BEAK. Fun for role-playing a Birdman. True. C for allowing masks. It's arguably the best 1-point mutation. Maybe night vision is slightly better in my opinion. You know what? I could be persuaded. Jonka Bonka, thank you very much for the prime sub. Give me that Jeff Bezos money. You know what? One day, if I ever hit 100 concurrent subscribers with Prime, I will shave my head and I will cosplay as Jeff Bezos for a whole year. I'll put it in C if you guys really want me to see. C for Kakar. True. All right, fine. It's a low C. It's a very low C. Much like the Dead Sea. And that's BEAK. I mean, what more can you say? What we got next? We got Beguiling. Beguiling, I feel like there's a lot of people who go absolutely hog wild over Beguiling. Let's think. Beguiling is 5 points, which is insane. That's insane. Like 5 points? For what is essentially proselytize. I think Beguiling is right off the top of my head. It's a low B. It might even be a high C. With a 5-point cost, and the fact that it's not guaranteed to work as well. You can obviously use it to get like additional followers if you also have like proselytize and things like that. And it is a little bit more reliable, I think, for like stealing merchants and stuff like that.
JRHNBR_ is now following.
But I don't know, dude. 5 points. I can't get over the high cost, you know. Beguiling is S tier. Subbed with Prime for the cosplay. Thank you very much. Never like party style play. No, me either, honestly. But I know some people do. It's a reusable love injector. Yeah, but again, I don't really care about love injectors. I'm gonna put it in C. I'm sorry. Come at me. That's just how I feel about Beguiling. It's pretty decent, but for the cost, if it was 3 points, it would be an easy B, maybe even an A. But for 5 points, nah. Definitely not, dude. You beguiled a Lithothex once and it turned you to stone by accident. Yep, that's the kind of shit that will happen. Instead of benzos, maybe do a Mr. Evil, Dr. Evil cosplay. That actually, you know what, and I'll call him Mr. Evil, so it's, you know, it's different enough that I won't get sued, right? Alright, what's next? Hold on, let me deal with these, Code Junkie, thank you very much, for the sub, appreciate it, the Prime sub as well. And, JRHNBR_, really pithy name, thank you very much for the follow. I wish YouTube had like a follow counter as well. That would be nice. Alright, burgeoning. I'm gonna be honest, I fucking love burgeoning. It's one of the most, it's one of the easiest ways, let's put it this way, of killing yourself accidentally. But burgeoning is unreal. It's really, really fun. Some of the most chaotic runs I've ever had have been with burgeoning. If you do burgeoning with temporal fugue, it's absolute mayhem, and I love it. There's like a sweet spot for burgeoning as well, where you start to get really, really good stuff come through, like gorge growths and red death daggers. But there's also a point where it starts to spawn like dream crungles, which I didn't even know they were plants, dude. I think for me, burgeoning is A tier. I don't quite think it makes S tier, in my opinion, but it's close. It's one of the most fun gameplay styles, playing as an Esper. Anyway, let me rattle off some of the info for burgeoning. By the way, it only costs 3 points. Really, really good. So the cooldown decreases with the level, which is crazy. You can get the burgeoning cooldown to like, I think I've got it down to like a handful of turns. It's really easy to do if you have high enough ego as well. But you don't have any kind of say over what is spawned in. You can sometimes get lucky. Normally everything comes in a 3x3 grid, but sometimes you get like the high roll and it will be a 5x5, which is nice. One of the biggest downsides though is the tumbling pods that spawn. They will kill you early game easy. It's really good. Yeah, this is one of the few Esper mutations that is actually still affected by willpower, which I think also goes in its favor. It's cracked. Since you aren't playing a game, is there a chance I can resize my text window and video capture to a larger size? I don't quite understand what you mean, Demonolithic. You mean like this? I can do that. There we go. Burgeoning A tier. Easy peas. Hey Kino, how you doing? Ancient Reach, good to see you. Popping in new tier list for 1.0. Even though I did this about a year and a half ago, but I thought, you know what? Let's do it. Let's just do another tier list. I don't really
Sev_bats is now following.
Thank you very much for the follow, several bats. I'm kind of at the point where I'm cut it out at the moment with the videos on YouTube. So live streaming it, you know, I'm gonna take a little break. We're gonna start do some different games for stream going forward. Every Sunday, every Wednesday. Alright, what's up next? Burrowing claws. Oof. Alright, well, burrowing claws. I think burrowing claws cost 3. Let me have a look. Yeah, they cost 3. You have spade-like claws that can dig through walls. You have to make 4 penetrations for it to actually go. The only real like good thing about burrowing claws is the fact that you can actually use them to dig up and down if you have the pre-release thing enabled, which most players aren't going to know about. So I think for me, burrowing claws are a C tier. Some people really like them. it does allow you to dig through stuff like right off the start of the game. They do also count as short blades, I think. But if you're using these as your weapon, then you're insane. Dictafrag, you're in a meeting, you can't hear, but you need to listen later as the reasoning for burgeoning being an A tier. Okay, fair enough. I don't think burrowing claws are good, and I think even for 3 points, they're maybe too expensive. Personally. And that's really all I have to say about burrowing claws. I haven't got anything else to say about them. So with that, shall we move on to Carapace? I think we shall. Carapace. I kind of like Carapace. It's relatively cheap. I think it's a 3-point mutation. It gives you basically a turtle shell. Every 2 levels, I think, it will start to level up your armor value. And by the end, by level 10, it will be equal to a Zetachrome piece of armor. The difference being, however, that you cannot modify it in any way. And also the DV decrease is a lot more than Zetachrome armor, so it is objectively worse than having endgame armor. But the fact that you can actually rapidly advance it and take it beyond Zetachrome armor. That said though, 1 rapid advancement will only increase it from 8 armor value to 9 armor value, so that's 3 points. That's kind of crazy. The only other really good thing about Carapace though is the fact that it has cold and heat resist, which is really, really valuable. I think it probably for me is either a low A or a high B. I'm happy to put it into I'm happy to put it in A tier, honestly. It's something though that I'm generally like, say I got it with if I bought it with four mutation points mid-game, I probably wouldn't be happy to see it, because I think anything that takes away a armor slot from you is not good. That's just my opinion though, you know. It's a great newbie mutation for sure. I think I'm gonna put it in a high B. I'm gonna rank these based on the further they are to the start, the better I think they are. Yeah.
Action Johnson is now following.
I think I'm happy for that right now. Action Johnson, thank you very much for the follow. Good day. Yeah, if you can get it up to level 20, you are truly cooked. You could definitely spend your rapid advancement somewhere else, unless it's your only physical mutation. Not worth it, I don't think. Solid A tier, says Nicholas. You know, it rides the line between the two. I'm gonna put it here for now. It can change. The resist and the free weight. You know what? I will say the weight is maybe an argument. However, I will say that you should be able to wear your arm without having to worry about the weight of it. Hey, Stonecoat, how you doing? Yeah, so let me quickly clarify the rankings. S is like a run making mutation, so it's something that you will base everything else around, so other mutations, your equipment, etc. A is something that you're always happy to see regardless of your build. B is, you know, it's the best choice of whatever you're offered. Let's say if you do if you spend 4 points to buy a new mutation and you're offered it, I think that's where the B tier is like best suited, let's say. C is maybe very situational, or maybe a few more mutation points than you're willing to spend. And D is just, you objectively don't like it. That's not saying it's bad, but it's saying you don't like it, or it will somehow detriment the rest of your other mutations, and that can happen. So that's sort of what I've got in mind right now, roughly. Let's move on, shall we? Clairvoyance. I like Clairvoyance a lot. It's very cheap. It costs 2 points. It does synergize well with other stuff, but with that in mind, it's not something I would take necessarily just for the sake of taking it. I would pick Clairvoyance if I had, for example, Sunder Mind. Something like that. It is obviously really useful in that it does show you the map. You know, you pick a spot, and I think once you get it to level 15 or 16, level 15 according to this, you can literally see the whole map with a button press. Really, really powerful in that regard. But then you're still limited by the range of your other mutations, for example. It is especially useful if you're doing a caving, like a spelunky kind of run, though. If you want to keep your eyes peeled for like gamma moths, things like that, or you've got a really good ranged weapon and you want to make the most of it. I think this may upset some people. I think honestly Clairvoyance is A tier, even though I just said B is kind of the situational stuff. And Clairvoyance is very situational. I'm pretty much always going to use it, because just being able to reveal the whole map for me is really, really useful. It's not that great early, but it is still, can still be really useful. It doesn't have that long of a what is the cooldown? Cooldown is 100. You know what though? 100 cooldown. 100 turns. The base duration is 20 turns as well. I'm putting it here. The cooldown, the cooldown turned me off. Hey, Stonecoat, how you doing, dude? Incoming ad break, by the way. Let me alright, let me quickly catch up on chat here. Clairvoyance is definitely S tier. Disagree. It is great though. Yeah, Clairvoyance is commonly found on relics, you're sure. Like, I think I find it, the only thing I find more is either temporal fugue or light manipulation. Hey, Roast Adventures, first time chatter, welcome. It's the first time you've been able to catch the stream. Loving your YouTube videos. Thank you very much, I appreciate it. Thank you very much for coming by and saying that. Hey, Chonga, what's up? Golden Auction, good to see you again. Hey, Scaff, Skateboarder, Beguiling is S tier. No, I do not think it is. I think there's a case for it to go in B tier. I did specify early on that I am willing to move it up to B tier. Carapace is S tier. I think maybe Carapace might move up as well at some point. What I'll do is I'll do like a handful and then we'll maybe go back and just rethink. That's tomorrow, Gold. Yeah, I actually thought it was today, but it's actually tomorrow. Alright, let's move on, shall we? Clairvoyance, thank you for your service. Alright, Confusion Stinger. Alright, how do we feel about Confusion Stinger? I actually think that Confusion Stinger slaps. I think it's really, really good. How much does it cost? I think it costs 3, right? Yes. It's a 3 cost. it has a... I mean, the dice roll, the damage, we don't really care about. We're not going to use it as a main weapon. The cool thing about stingers is even if you're not using multi-weapon fighting, they will still proc occasionally. I think it's a 20% chance. Confusion does make enemies kind of wander away slightly. But having an enemy not be able to attack is really, really good. Also, confusion lowers the it lowers their willpower, so you can also get some pretty sick mental attacks on them. It lowers their mental armor is what I mean to say. I like Confusion Stinger. I don't know if it's my favorite stinger. I think I might prefer Paralysis Stinger a little more, personally. But I think it's kind of situational. I think there's a case for this to go into B tier. Again, it costs 3 points on creation. It gives you Arachnid Rep. Let me have a look here. It gives you Arachnid Rep. Nobody cares. Nobody's going to use it as their main weapon. That's pretty insane. What does the wiki say? Confusion Venom neutralizes a given enemy for its duration. More susceptible to mental attacks. Synergizes well with builds. Focus on making multiple attacks per round. Bonus threat with arachnids. Yeah, that's not an advantage. That's just annoying. Yeah, like I said, Broken Compiler, even if you're using single weapon fighting or you're not using multi-weapon fighting, they can still proc, which is really, really sick. I think that I think I'm happy putting it in B. I don't think it's A tier. I don't think it's worthy of A tier at all. Ancient Reach, no intention to knock you off track. No, that's fine. So in between each of the mutations, I'll catch up with chat here. Would be interested in hearing my opinion of what character slot is the most worth dumping for mutations? Do you mean like in terms of like what can you avoid leveling up? Or do you mean in terms of like what will benefit mutations the most? I think the only thing... There's really only two attributes that are worth dumping. And that is either intelligence or ego. Ego if you're playing a chimera. If you can get to 19 ego, which is not that hard, even if you dump it, then that's really all you need for like Snake Oiler, for example. Otherwise, intelligence, if you're happy to do a run without some of the wayfaring skills and tinkering, then dump intelligence. Is the only downside is you get less skill points. I think that's I think the only thing you need to know, Ancient Reach, is you should always have at least 19 intelligence and at least 19 ego at some point. Not right from the start of the game. Maybe after like 12... Maybe 12, 15 level... after like level 12 to 15, then maybe you can start putting a few points here and there. Just because having tinkering is handy, and having, you know, some kind of way to make money is also really handy. There are other ways to make like skill points and also increase your attribute points. Yeah, Tinker 2 is the best. I think you need 23 intelligence for Tinker 2, but it's really, really valuable. Alright, what do we got next? Confusion. I'll be honest, I very rarely use Confusion. It costs 4 points, which seems quite high for me. It does have an AoE, which is good. So it's great for groups of enemies, and whilst enemies are confused, you can just go in there and mop up, which I guess makes it very powerful. I'll be honest, it's not something I tend to use very often at all. It's got 75 turn cooldown, which is a little bit rough, as standard. It does decrease though. Fuck me, I can't speak today. Depending and based on willpower. I think it doesn't have a great range either. I think anything though that gives you like an AoE is pretty valuable. I can't see myself putting it any higher than a B, and I do honestly want to put it in C tier. There are things you can spend 4 points on that are a lot more effective than Confusion. Also, bear in mind, Confusion doesn't work on... it's not going to work on robots, right? It's only going to work on organic enemies. Monkey God Emperor says, very useful as an Esper to break Mental Mirror. Yeah, that's true. I want to go more into Mental Mirror when we deal with things like Sunder Mind and Mental Mirror itself. That is a pretty useful aspect of it, actually. I think this is a C tier, which it almost feels wrong. But I think I think that's where it's going. 4 points. I know this video is going to piss so many people off, isn't it? It's so funny. You think ancient meant more like which equipment slots are okay to be rid of due to mutation? Oh, it doesn't really matter. Any of the mutations that you can put on like your hands or your face, things like that, you can still use armor on most of them. The only ones that will prevent that will be like CARAPACE or QUILLS, or hooks for legs, things like that. But they'll tell you explicitly in the description that it will prevent you from equipping armor. I don't think there's anything that causes you to lose your hands. Short of you getting a fungal infection on there. If you ever have a choice as well as where to put a fungal infection, always go for your arm, I would say. Yes, flame hands you can still hold stuff. In fact, it says in the description of Flaming Ray that whenever you actually make melee attacks, if you have Flaming Ray, it will actually passively increase the temperature of the thing that you're fighting as well. They don't take up any slots like that, so yeah, you can feel free to... It's only the defects that normally would do that. That's the point of tier list, to piss people off. Yeah, exactly.
Kazoo0_ is now following.
Kazoo, thank you very much for the follow. Hurtsmith, you'd be surprised, dude, the amount of people who do actually get genuinely like upset. Oh, dude, yeah, you have been giving yourself, but no, you can still wear gloves. Alright, let's move on. We all know where corrosive gas is going. It's the first S tier, in my opinion. I know a lot of you will disagree. You think it's too chaotic, or it's too, you know... It does basically lock you out of having any kind of follower in the game. It's very easy to piss off... it's very easy to piss off friendly characters, NPCs, stuff like that. But, right, it costs 3 points, right? You emit a cloud of gas around yourself that not only does damage, and it does a lot of damage if you level it up, but it's also something that you can sit in that cloud and enemies will be too scared to even attack you, meaning it also has a defensive capability. There's very little in the game that counters corrosive gas. The only thing that really counters it are mirror bugs, and you're not going to be encountering them until the late game anyway. Corrosive gas also allows you to dig through walls, albeit in a way slower, kind of crappy... It's like, you know, you're fighting at a wall until it breaks. I think also if you synergize corrosive gas with like temporal fugue, for example, you just fill the whole map with gas. It also makes you immune, by the way, to poison gas, which is It's an easy S tier for me. It's a kind of it's a build defining mutation. I do like chaos. Exactly. Will it work from phasing? I believe so. I will speak about phasing when I get there. Let's see what the wiki says. Oh, by the way, if you have the what's the backpack thing called again? I should know this. I'm using one at the moment. The gas tumbler. The gas tumbler with corrosive gas, it basically doubles the damage. It's crazy. It's really, really good. Let's see what the wiki says. Disadvantage. Oh wait, let me play the music. I hate it. It's gone quiet. My brain. I cannot think. I must never think. Alright. Disadvantages. Can damage friendly creatures, like I said. Spread of gas cannot be controlled. That's not really relevant. The only time that is an issue is if you're in the moon stare. When, you know, breaking the crystals can spawn anti-use. And anti-use, and it can get really, really bad really quickly. No, it doesn't damage. It doesn't destroy items on the ground. XX. It doesn't damage loot at all. People say it does, but it doesn't. It can't harm anything in phase. Okay. Well, no, that is true. I was thinking about that today. I had a astral tabby after me, but there's only a few things that have the ability to phase anyway. Well, that's not true, Hunter. If you have a phase cannon, for example, you can use that to whilst you're out of phase to harm things in phase. There we go. That is indeed why you were getting pummeled, XX. But yeah, for me, corrosive gas, the first S tier mutation on the list. It's a banger. I can't really say any more about it that I haven't. Oh, I will say one more thing actually. I take that back immediately. The cooldown on corrosive gas, have you seen it? Have you seen it? It's obscene. It's affected by willpower. And you can get it down. I think my current corrosive gas has like a 7 or 8 turn cooldown in between. I can basically perma fart. It's crazy. I actually think so. Recently with 1.0, corrosive gas was reduced. I think from a 4-point cost down to a 3-point cost. I think that's a mistake. I think corrosive gas is actually too powerful. I think it should be a 4-point cost, and I think it should be slightly nerfed because it is just that good. Anyway, let's move on. Cryokinesis. Cryokinesis is pretty sick. It's very expensive from what I remember. How much does it cost? Let's have a look. It costs 4. Okay, it's not as expensive as I thought it was. For an Esper mutation, has a very short cooldown as well. I do tend to like the cold damage types over the fire damage types because fire obviously destroys not only the corpse, but it can destroy items if it touches, you know, like a pile of items on the floor. Cryokinesis doesn't really have that. I will say though that the freezing an enemy, really, really good, but also you can freeze yourself. At least with cryokinesis. This is a 3x3 attack, which is also really nice. It's a nice AoE. You still have to have decent cold resist, I believe, to go into it. It's... I don't think they do as much... I don't think they do as much damage, technically, as the fire versions. I think, for me, cryo is a high B, maybe even a low A. I will say I think that freezing hands, or freezing ray, sorry, is objectively better than cryokinesis, because that actually does basically make you immune from being frozen by your own, or it gives you a cold resist. So I think because of that, I'm tempted to... I think I still kind of want to put in A, but I don't know if it's worth it. It used to be 5 points, did it? And then they brought it down from 1.0. I think it's got to go in B. I think. It's going in B for now. For now. We can come back. We can come back and rejigify all of the... We catch up on chat here. You think corrosive gas and snake oil are maybe the only two things in the game that are so good they're making the game worse by existing? Yeah, I feel like snake oil is like a must, at least for me. It is really good. Same with jungle wayfaring and desert wayfaring. Yeah, we can maybe move it up once B gets too populated. I think anything at the front will go maybe up into A. Add a new tier above S, the God tier. It'll give you some more room. I'll be honest, there's only a handful of things that will make it to S tier, in my opinion. Yeah, dueling stance swipe also is way too good. If you have dueling stance swipe and snake oiler, you'll never have to worry about money ever. Hey, Trabnus, how you doing? Right, shall we move the frick on? What do we have next? Disintegration. I'm gonna be real with you. I think disintegration is bad. It does do a lot of damage. Does more damage to actual like structural objects. But it costs 3 points, which is too much in my opinion. And you have like 3 turns after you use it where you cannot do anything. Meaning you're sitting duck. It's an easy D tier. I'm not even gonna... you know what? Let me have a look at the wiki here. Okay. So... deals massive damage to multiple targets within a wide radius. Damage is not affected by AV. Cannot be dodged. Useful in destroying walls. Nobody's using it to destroy walls. Can be used as a last resort. I don't think... yeah, this is not good. Exhaust the user for 3 rounds. Any loot on the ground will be destroyed. Yeah, it's an easy D tier. It may even be E tier if I want to add another... if we do end up making another thing, I think it might even be E tier. Yeah, it's a physical mutation. Which feels weird. No, it's not. What am I talking about? It's an S mutation. I'm thinking about, what's the other thing I'm thinking about? There's something else. It's Esper, though. Two-headed removes the exhaust. Really? Is that true? I don't know. I'll be honest. It's probably my least used mutation in the game. If that's true, that's pretty cool. Oh yeah, of course, because two-headed has a chance. Okay. But then I will say again, like, mixing Esper and physical, like, Chimera mutations, I don't know. It's okay sometimes, but if you're gonna mix, if you're gonna be like a Chimera and then pick, well, not a Chimera, but if you're gonna do a mix build, why pick Disintegration? You know? Hey, Carbon X, thank you very much for the resub. Appreciate it. How you doing? How you doing? Beguiling a C. Yeah, I knew people would be upset about the beguiling thing. The beguiling is a high C, to be fair. It may move up here at some point. Ernesto. Yeah, if I ever spent 4 mutation points and was offered disintegration as the best of the 3, I would be very angry. Next up, domination. Domination is very fun. It's a run. It's the kind of mutation you would build a whole run around, let's say, right? Which, you know, in theory makes, oh, it's S tier, but it's not S tier, right? It's domination. I think domination is very expensive. It's 5 points right off the bat. But if you're picking domination, if we're talking here in terms of like what makes a run fun or makes it wacky, chaotic, it's an S tier. I think in reality it's more of a low A tier for me, maybe even a high B. 5 points, very expensive. It's a low A, high B. You agree, Yo Lucas? B is blasphemy. All right, well then we'll put it in A. I don't know how I feel. It's one of those mutations that's like, as a kind of element of gameplay, there aren't many. There's nothing else really like it that I can think about. The reason I like domination though is for the perma domination builds where you kill your original body. I would very rarely ever use domination whilst playing as another character, you know, like that said, you can use domination. You can like empty out a trader's inventory, dump it on the floor, pick it up for free. I think with that in mind, it stays in A. I think it stays in A. It is pretty fun. It's expensive though, like I keep saying. Let's take a look at what the wiki says. Oh yeah, also a failed domination will piss off whatever you try to dominate. However, you can use like, there's a lot of abilities you can use to lower the opponent's mental armor. Dominated creatures can be used to explore and fight without endangering the player. Can be used in certain circumstances to body swap. Can be used to retrieve item and equipment from creatures without killing them or harming them. I think it's a low A. Clairvoyance at B as well though. Yeah, I did say though, there's a chance I will put it before cryokinesis, I will say that. Andy Nuke with a random animal. That is absolutely... I've actually never tried that. I need to give that a go. Alright, let's move on. Double muscled. I like double muscled a lot. Anything I think that gives you straight up attribute boosting is objectively really good. I think there's a case for it to be S tier. I don't think it is. I think it's a high A. So you get it to 10. You take it up 10 levels, right? Let's see how much extra strength this gives you. Also, bear in mind it costs 3 points, which is actually I think is quite cheap. So by level 10, it will have given you a +6 bonus to your strength modifier, meaning that's basically the equivalent of having like 12 extra strength. However, I think the real reason for double muscle being really good is because it gives a daze chance. At level 10, it gives you a 33% chance to daze, meaning even if you're not using cudgels, if you're using, you know, any other weapon type, you get 2 dazes in a row. That's a stun lock right there. I think that's the real benefit of double muscled, which I think a lot of people don't think about. The strength, the extra strength is great. Obviously, that's more penetration, whatever. I'm currently running a double muscle build with cudgel, and the stun locks are just obscene. Carry capacity as well, yeah, exactly. It's definitely a high A. It could even be a low S, but I think for now it stays high A. High A! I told you, like, it's already making the curve. Double muscled is really, really good. I think as well it's one of the best, if you're new to Caves of Card, it's one of the best early mutations that you can take. And if you rapidly advance it as well, by level 13 you've got +8 strength bonus. It's good, it's really good. It does take, I think, 3 levels to... No, only yeah, you have to get it to level 3 to see your first increase. But it's good. It's a very thin line between low S and high A for double muscled. I think it's best at mid game, which makes it hard to rank. Yeah, I'll be honest, double muscled, I would almost never use my rapid advancement on it. Personally, I think already at level 10 it's already done its job. There are other things you can use to increase your strength, you know, like drops of nectar, whatever. If you're really focused on strength, then rapidly advance it. Otherwise, I think the best thing about it is the day's chance. It's really, really good. All right, let's move on, shall we? What's next? Ego projection. Alright, well, this is a kind of mutation I slept on for a little bit. I think ego projection can be pretty sick. It has an obscenely high cooldown though. What ego projection basically allows you to choose between, I think, strength, agility, and endurance or toughness, and boost it by a certain amount. For how many rounds? It starts at level 1, it's 18 to 22 rounds. Okay. And it gives you twice your ego bonus. So really good if you're an Esper who occasionally wants to dabble in like melee, or if you need an extra bit of health. I think though, based on the fact that it's what, 4 points, and it has an obscenely high 200 round cooldown, I don't think this is making it past B. I think for me, would I be happy to see it if I got it randomly? No, is the answer. Do I think it's worthy of C tier? I don't know, maybe. Maybe it's a high C. It's not D tier. It's here or it's here. It's really fucking funny that I put beguiling here, by the way. It's gonna annoy so many people. Ego projection. Would I rather have it than confusion stinger? No. I also think adrenal control could go up a little bit here. I think something like this is... I think it stays here. I think a B. Projection has always felt like a worse adrenal control. Yeah, like you said, it's also one of the things you have to remember to use. And if you have like low ego, what good is it anyway? If it's only going to give you double your, if you've only got like +2, although you wouldn't if you're using it, but you know, I don't think it's good. I think it's a low C. And with that said, I'm going to move straight on. Sorry to any ego projection stands out there. Alright, electrical gen. I have slept on electrical gen for a while. Not in the way that you would think, though. I always knew it was really good for getting... if you're using a dueling stance swipe build and you get jacked modifiers on ranged weapons, and you know, This allows you to power stuff without the need for batteries, but that's actually the least important thing, because by the late game you have more batteries than you know what to do with. It is a 4-pointer, which I think is, you know, fairly expensive, but honestly the damage output from electrical gen, it can be pretty good. It actually does a pretty good amount of damage. Also electrical damage, you know, it arcs from the point of use. It does lose damage the further out it arcs. But the fact that it does damage, and it also has the passive ability of powering anything that may be jacked, I think it's really good. I think it's can damage through walls. Yeah, I do think it belongs in either A tier or it's a high B tier for me personally. I really enjoyed playing it during 1.0 when that came out. You can drink batteries as well, yeah, to top it up. I've never done that. I don't think that's worth it, but you absolutely can do that. I think the important thing to remember as well is electrical damage. Well, firstly, electrical damage, it doesn't take into account armor value, meaning even if an enemy has a high AV, it doesn't matter. It also cannot be dodged, meaning you're always going to hit with it. Also, the ability to have like a force bracelet permanently powered, it's really good. It goes here. It's still a high A tier though. I think maybe we put it ahead of burgeoning. There we go, right about there. It's something I'm genuinely always happy to see. Ad roll during your favorite mutation discussion. I'm so sorry, Chonga. Generation can carry Bethesda, hit signal armor, low effort perma bubble.
Mr. Spaghetti's own gifted a tier 1
Hey,
sub to Chonga 3000.
Mr.
They
Spaghetti.
have given 2 gift subs in the channel.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. There you go, Chonga. Hopefully you can hear me now. Hey, Fred. Thank you very much, man. Yeah. If you guys have a a spare Prime sub lying around, then why not click that sub button? Anything else I want to say about electrical damage? I don't really think so. Like most physical mutations, it's also based on your willpower in terms of the charge. It's really good. For example, let's just look at this, right? Like, at level 10, it's a 22d4. So, think about that. That's rolling 22... four-sided dice. That's pretty sick. It also arcs 22 times. It's good. It's really good. It's really, really good. Electrical gen, it goes hard. It slaps. I recommend it to anybody who's getting better at the game and they want to start dabbling with being able to power their own items. I will say though, with electrical gen, if you're not using dueling stance swipe, you will need to invest firstly into I think Jacked is a level 2 tinkering mod, I believe. Which may be hard to get for some people. That's quite a lot of intelligence. But yeah,
Trigger Cut is now following.
Really good. Trigger Cut, thank you very much for the follow. Yeah, you don't use electrical gen to win, to make friends and win people over. It's gonna hurt everybody. It doesn't discriminate. It's a great mutation. All right, electromagnetic pulse. It's a D tier. I don't even know if I have to really say anything about electromagnetic pulse. It costs 2 points, which is too expensive in my opinion. Basically, it disables electronic stuff around it. That said, there are some very niche cases where this is really useful. If you're fighting a chrome pyramid, for example. I'm never going to pick it, though, in character creation. And the fact that you don't really start to encounter robots until, like, the mid-game onwards, I just don't think it's worth it. I would be very pissed if I was offered it in a when buying a mutation for 4 points. So, I think it's an easy D tier. Do I think it's worse than Disintegration? Probably. I don't know, actually. I think they're about equal. It has a 200 round cooldown. I will also say that you can just use EMP grenades. Also, I believe it also disables your own gear, which is like, why would you ever use that? Disables all strip. You know what? You know what else disables strip flies? Shooting them. You wouldn't take it for free, to be honest. Yeah, exactly. What's the reason for dueling stance and electrical generator? Right, so if you have dueling stance and swipe, you can disarm turrets, and the guns that they drop automatically have the jacked mod attached to them, meaning that if you have electrical gen, you get the gun and you never have to power it, so pretty cracked. I will say though that when you do it that way, things can only have 3 modifiers on them, so jacked is one of them. So if you don't need jacked, then it's actually a waste. Only the defect disables your own gear. Okay, so it doesn't disable your own. Got it. Good to know. It's still a D tier though. Alright, Flaming Ray. I love Flaming Ray personally. I'm a big fan. Big fan of his work. Flaming Ray. Also, it sounds like a steak restaurant or something, like a Mexican restaurant maybe. Flaming Rays. You shoot 9 square long piece of fire from your hands or from your face. It has an obscenely short cooldown. It costs 4 points, which is a lot, but it is literally fireball in the game. It's really good. It also heats up enemies as you fight them, you know. It's not affected by willpower as far as I remember. I take it back, it absolutely is affected by willpower. You can get it down. You can get it down to a 5-turn cooldown. If you have this, yeah, okay. I think it's an A tier, I'm being honest. It's a great little damage dealer. You do find yourself using it a lot, or at least I do. It also synergizes really well with things like it might even be S tier. I'm not. For now, it goes here. Synergizes really well with plasma weapons for making stuff auroral. You think genital should be one of the available options for Flaming Ray mutations? I agree. I agree. It's really fun. I think it also wait, I already said that it heats up enemies, right? Yeah, it does. It's great. I recommend it if you're starting off in CUD and you want to, you know, dabble with mutations. Flaming Ray is a good one to start with. I will say Flaming Ray falls off a bit in the late game, but early mid game, really fun. Also really good for getting rid of puddles of crap in Golgotha, for example. It can destroy loot though, be aware. It will destroy bodies. If an enemy burns to death, the body will be gone. It will leave ashes. If you shoot Flaming Ray over loot and the loot catches fire, it will destroy it after a certain amount of time. So keep that in mind. But other than that, Flaming Ray, high A. I put it in the same rank as the double muscled, where it's like there's an argument for them to be up here, but they're not. They're not quite S tier. Flaming Ray, very good. Recommend it. Yes, it can also create the scalding steam. Yeah, exactly. Flaming Ray on your genitals is called gonorrhea. Yeah, you're not wrong. Hey Sky, how you doing? Double muscled should be S tier. Yeah, there was a kind of case to be made for it. I think the thing that hold it back is that even at level 10, before you rapidly advance it, I personally wouldn't rapidly advance it. I think even at level 10, the real power of double muscled is the daze chance, and 33%, you know, like a 1 in 3 chance. That's already pretty sick. I think if it was slightly above 1 out of 3, maybe I would put it in S tier. You remember, guys, S tier it's reserved for the cream of the crop, all right, and the cream always rises to the top. Okay, okay, let's move on. What do we have next? We have Force Bubble. I do love me a Force Bubble. I think I put it really high the last time I did a tier list. I think I might have even put it in A tier, which I personally would not call it A tier anymore. I think it is sorry, an S tier. I think it is definitely a high A still. It could okay. I'm arguing with myself now, because let's just think, right? Force Bubble. Once you have it up, there are certain things in the game that it just straight up prevents happening, right? Like if a Gamma Moth shoots at you, Force Bubble, guess what? It's gonna save your life. It's also you can get it if you level it up. Let me have a look at the stats. If you level it up enough, you can get a pretty consistent Force Bubble going for a long time. Level 10, it's 39 round duration with a 100 round cooldown. So that's actually pretty sick. If you get it to level 30, you get a 99 round duration. So meaning there's only a 1 turn cooldown. It's also affected by willpower. Actually, no, this is S tier. What am I talking about? Okay, I completely rescind what I said at the start. It costs 4 points. You know, it's not cheap. And stuff can break the Force Bubbles. You can smash through them. Explosions in particular will smash through Force Bubbles. But I think the fact that this is also affected by willpower, it's an S tier. If it wasn't that, it would be high A, but it's S tier. Some people prefer the Force Wall. I personally don't. I think it's just a bit tedious. I like to play quite fast, which I know annoys a lot of people. I think Force Bubble is objectively better. Yes, also great point. Force Bubble recoiler. So here's a little tip. Some people watching this might not know. Normally you can't recoil out of combat if there's enemies nearby. If you have a Force Bubble, you can recoil regardless. It's like the enemies aren't even there. It's really good. Force Bracelet. You know, Force Bracelet is obviously an item that does the same thing, but Force Bracelet eats through charge like you wouldn't believe. I will say the only time a Force Bracelet is objectively better than Force Bubble is if you're running Electrical Gen and you have it high enough and you have a jacked Force Bracelet, you can have it perma on, which is what we did in our last run on stream. Other than that though, Force Bubble is still an S tier. It's also good for pushing, you can push certain rocks and enemies around as well. Force bracelet is EMP sensitive though. Yeah, absolutely, exactly. There you go. That's the downside of it. Let's see what does the wiki say here about. Oh, also, yeah, you can shoot. You can shoot out of the force bubble, but enemies can't shoot in. Electrical gen being below force bubble for the cost of 1 arm slot makes you sad. Force fields are mobile, can be used to push enemies around, can activate recoilers whilst bubbled, you can shoot through them. Downsides are high cost, not as flexible as forceful. I don't really know what they mean by that. Long cooldown that doesn't improve with mutation level, no, but it's affected by willpower, so that's a kind of a moot point at this point. Short duration, weak to normality. Yeah, normality will obviously counteract it, but normality will counteract most Esper mutations anyway. So, hello Tachyon, how you doing? There's always electromagnetically shielded, but those tend to be rare. I know that is like completely RNG dependent, but they do tend to be rare. I don't see them very often myself. So there we go, there's our second S tier, and it is Force Buble. Next up we have Force Wall. I remember last time I ranked Force Wall and people went a little bit apeshit at me. Force Wall is cheap. It's 3 points as opposed to 4. However, you have to manually draw in. You have 9 squares. You have to manually paint in the areas that you want to put the Force Wall. It's a low A, high B. I'll be honest. For me personally, I actually would very rarely use it. It's not C tier, although I'm trying to think, like, would I be happier to see it over CARAPACE? Yes. Would I be happier to see it over CRYOKINESIS? I don't think so. I think this might be... I know I'm going to annoy a lot of people putting it right in slap bang in the middle of B tier, but for my playstyle, which is very fast, I cannot take the time to manually paint it in. It's not for me. It might be for you, but it's not for me. I think for me, it stays here. It's got a 100 round cooldown. It is affected by willpower again. You can get it pretty low. You can get it to a 20 turn cooldown if you've got 32 plus willpower, which is sick. But it's just kind of a pain in the ass to use. I think that's really all I have to say about it. What about you guys? I think a lot of you are probably going to value it a bit more than I do. But that's just where I stand. Very strong as a force field, but it's a lot of effort to consistently get value out of. It works very well on busier maps where you can have there are like choke points, but if it's a wide open map, seems better than bubble to you. Yeah, a lot of people say that. Big Iron says it's an S tier if you're a mechanimist and want to keep the player contained for a billion turns. Yeah, I hate that. I absolutely hate that. Yeah, tiers are personal opinions, but you know what? The thing you need to understand, Hunter Chuck, is that people on YouTube, they don't know that. They think I'm being like, you know, objective rather than subjective. No, you can't move Force Wall. That's only Force Bubble, which I think is a detriment to it. I'm going to leave it here. I'm going to move on. Freezing Ray. Freezing Ray's frozen pizzas. Okay, Freezing Ray, I like it. It's 1 more point than Flaming Ray. It's 5 points, which already puts it below Flaming Ray, in my opinion. It does, however, decrease. It gives you basically cold resist, which is really, really nice. It lowers your brittle temperature, effectively meaning you have to be colder before you can get frozen yourself. It does also, it does cool down enemies in melee, which is really, really good. I actually forget if... I think enemies that get too cold, they do freeze, obviously. The problem is, if they're bleeding, it offsets the freeze completely. I think anything that normally does cold damage is better than fire damage, but I think Flaming Ray is an exception for me. I think Freezing Ray is probably objectively better late game than Flaming Ray, but it's 1 extra point. Would I be happy to get it if I spent 4 mutation points? Hell yeah, I would totally be happy. Again, it has a pretty low cooldown. You can get it all... I think 5 is the minimum you can get it down to, which is obscene. I think it's definitely an A tier as well. Is it better than Domination? In my opinion, yeah. Is it better than Burgeoning? I'm not sure. I'm gonna put it here. I think I'm gonna put it here. Let me cook, or let me freeze on it a moment. I just need to think. 5 points, bear in mind, right? You got to take that into account. The Dalemeister, you finally made it to a stream. Got into CUD through 1.0, and my videos are perfect for learning the game. Hello, glad to have you here, dude. How you doing? Putting Burgeoning in A tier is in... Burgeoning is slept on. It's really fun, and it's saved me so much. Burgeoning is great. It's not for everybody though. I think Freezing Ray here is fine. Being able to ignore being frozen pretty much all game is nice. True. With how many Rhymewicks have killed you? Yeah, I mean, Rhymewicks are one of the scariest enemies. That's why I value Blaze Injectors so much. Any tips on how to survive taking Burgeoning? Yeah. Early game, use it very sparingly. Mid game, you've got nothing to worry about. Hopefully. I think this is perfect for Freezing Ray, in my opinion. Burgeoning goes really well with... well, actually, no. I was going to say it goes well with Temporal Fugue, but actually it can become way too much. I love Burgeoning. I will always go to bat for Burgeoning. Heightened Hearing. Heightened Hearing is a D tier. I don't know. I don't know what... Right, let's talk about Heightened Hearing for a moment. Allows you to hear enemies from behind walls, which sounds great, and the higher you get it, the further you can hear. It is completely passive as well, which is nice. You would think. But it fucks up auto-explore so bad that I actually consider it to be a detriment. So if there was an E tier, I think actually I would maybe put it in E tier. I would not pay for this. I wouldn't pay 1 mutation point, let alone 2. That's really all I have to say for it. It's not something that is worth upgrading ever. You can get it to... The most you can get it to is a 40 tile detection range. Who gives a shit? Also, just because you know an enemy's there doesn't really tell you anything else about them. You can't, like, examine them. It's clairvoyance, if clairvoyance was absolutely dogshit tier. What do you guys think? Heightened hearing fucks up auto explore. Exactly. Isn't bad. It's just annoying for cancelling auto explore. Yes, clairvoyance is a physical. Sorry, clairvoyance is mental, and this is physical. Another addition for your D tier build. You had heightened hearing once, and you had to remove it with commands. Yep. EMP, yeah, the H, exactly, it's an H tier. It's not good. It's just not good. That's really all I have to say about heightened hearing. Also, as somebody who is a man with hearing loss, a deaf person, I also find it insulting. Being able to hear is a crutch, okay? Heightened quickness. Heightened quickness is high A tier. It's like it's up here. It's one of these. Heightened quickness is extremely good. It's very cheap. It's a 3-point cost. Starting off at level 1. Here's the crazy thing about heightened quickness. Just at level 1, it gives you 15 extra quickness. I will say, of all of the things that you can do with your character in CUD, having more quickness is just... It slaps so hard. Like, there's really no... There's no detriment to having more quickness. Not only do you get to, you know, do more stuff in your turn, having higher quickness actually means that your movement speed is higher. Maybe not in the game, maybe not as stated, but you get to move away. If you're running from something, you get more actions. But obviously, where it's the most valuable is during combat, where you get to take more turns per turn. Heightened quickness. Now that said, every level that you put into it, every point, it increases your quickness by 2, which isn't much, but when you consider 2 quickness is 2 drams of sun slag. If you think of it like that, my current build I'm running on YouTube with heightened quickness as well as photosynthetic skin, I'm up to... My resting quickness is like 170 something. It's really, really good. If you pair it with time dilation, you literally, nothing else even has a chance to attack because you've already hit it like 10 times. Quickness is the cooler, more successful, more handsome of the heightened brothers. Exactly. Heightened hearing, all the way down here. Heightened quickness, it's really good. Let's see what the wiki says. So 3-point cost, I think I've pretty much already said. There's not really much to say about it, unfortunately. So yeah, starting at level 1, plus 15 quickness. Trabnas, you say that heightened quickness is only good at level 1. I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, you are wrong. But also, the fact that level 1 is 15 quickness is good. But if you get it to level 6, that's plus 25 quickness. Means you get 1 1/4 actions per turn. And anything that you don't spend in a turn rolls over to the next turn. I would not recommend rapidly advancing heightened quickness personally. Has the music finished again? Jesus. We're really out here, huh? Just talking about mutations in a video game. Quickness is incredible. That's all I have to say about it. Moving on. Horns. Horns was nerfed recently. It used to be better. I think it was made more expensive. It's now a 4-point cost. It does also prevent you from wearing hats. I'm going to go over the negative first. You can't wear hats. And it's quite expensive. That's really the only downside. Horns go hard. If you're playing a new build, if you're a new player, like horns with double muscled the reason it's so good is because horns doesn't have a like a penetration cap. So the higher your strength, you'll always penetrate more. You can have like 100 strength and horns will still be benefiting from it. Horns is really, I would never use the horn as my main weapon, although you kind of can. If you're using a multi-weapon fighting build, horns goes so hard. Also, whenever you charge with horns, because it counts as a short blade as well, you're gonna always hit with your horns, and you're always gonna cause an enemy to bleed because of it. Horns is really good. It's always a passive 20% chance to hit. If it's your offhand. So even if you increase your multi-weapon fighting, horns is always going to be 20%. It's the same with stingers. It's always 20%. Horns is really good. It's also something, it's one of the few things that I do enjoy rapidly advancing. The damage, it's not great. But if you're using multi-weapon fighting, it hits so often still anyway, even with 20%. But the great thing about horns is they also give armor value. Level 10 horns gives 4 AV, which isn't much if you rapidly advance it. Although that said, like there aren't many helmets in the game that give that much armor value anyway. And if you're running a two-headed build, for example, you can still use a helmet on your other head. Horns will only be on one of your heads. That said though, if you do it that way, that armor value will be averaged out between the two heads. So you'll actually lose a little bit of armor value. Horns is really good. It's really fun. Is there anything I missed on it? I said, right, it's 4-point cost. It also gives you a little bit of goat folk rep, but who cares? It's only 100. That doesn't really go towards anything. Yeah, Jordak, I will be timestamping this video probably tomorrow at some point or the day after. But yeah, horns is a solid mutation. The only downside, like I said, is you can't wear headgear. That does lock you out from certain things. But beyond that, it's really, really good. Anything I missed? I don't think so. You found horns to be bugged post 1.0. Really? In what way? With flurry? Oh, okay. Horns was changed from 3 to 4 points, but it's still amazing. Yeah, it does a lot of damage. Also, the fact that it works passively as well with, like, charge is really, really sick. Curious on what my thoughts are on short blade versus long versus axe versus club. Man, I could do a whole video on that, Dick Defrag. I think, like, for me, I would say long blade is great if you don't know what kind of build you want. It has a lower like entry, let's say. Long blade's really good for utility as well. Short blade is great if you're doing you know, high agility builds and you're doing like multi-weapon fighting, because bleeds do stack. That said, bloodletter doesn't do that much damage. It's short blades are good, but I think they're personally my least favorite of the four. The Dalemeister, thank you very much for the sub. Axe and club are both incredible. Axe is fun for the dismember and the decapitation for the insta-kill. My personal favorite though is cudgel. The ability to stun lock opponents is insane. You never take bloodlet without shank. Yeah, shank is good as well, but I think shank is maybe a little bit too expensive and has a little bit of a... It's a little too high of a agility What is it, like 27 agility or 29 agility or something to use Shank? No, I'm thinking about Rejoinder. Sorry, I take it back. If Horns is the main weapon with Flurry, there's always one hand that won't attack. If you make a hand the primary weapon, everything works fine. Yeah. I think the way that used to work is that the hand that was swapped with Horns as that used to be the main limb inherits the 20% chance, but I think now it just doesn't attack sometimes, which I think is a bug. Let's move on, shall we? Oh wait, I haven't even ranked Horns. Horns is A tier. I'll put it here. I may even put it here. But I won't. I'll put it here. Horns is great. Kindle S tier. I think the stuff that Amazon have done with being able to read books whilst not actually having a physical copy of the book is a great way of like really opening up people to reading things that they would never normally read. Just kidding. Kindle is Kindle's a D tier, but hear me out here, right? Kindle is a 1 point cost. It's one of those junk mutations, right? Kindle is good because it does offset the cold-blooded mutation. You can kindle under yourself, but that said, to raise your temperature, that said, you have to stay still. Kindle is not okay. Let me. Kindle allows you to light a small fire with your mind. It's just on one tile. It's very, very slow to do anything. It will never really set anything on fire. Has a short cooldown of 50 rounds. It is affected by willpower, but it costs 1. That's really all I have to say about it. It makes a campfire, but it's a campfire that you can't cook at. It's not something I would ever pick. So the only time I ever really use it is when I'm doing dailies and I get a character that has Kindle. Why is Heightened Hearing D tier? You have to watch the VOD. Yeah, you'll have to watch the VOD. The gist of it, Frizz, is that it actively fucks with auto explore, and if you play fast like I do, it's actually a detriment. And it's worse than Kindle. Alright. Let's move on. I'm gonna so I think the last time I made this video, the reason I pissed most people off was because of how I ranked light manipulation. Okay, so light manipulation. It costs 4, which is expensive. It allows you to shoot a laser beam from your mind, which has unlimited range. So as long as you have line of sight, it will always hit. It's a 100% chance to hit. Hey, T-Rex. And it also gives you a passive light, in the same way that a glow sphere would, but without having to use a limb or a floating nearby slot. Where did I put it last time? I think I ranked it at like B tier or maybe even a C. I put it as a high B, and hear me out, right? Is it better than Clairvoyance? In my opinion, no. The thing that I love about light manipulation is at low levels, it allows you to farm XP so quickly. You can run into the desert as a level 1 see a Dawn Glider, hit it from across the map, it has no idea what the hell's going on, it will just stand there or fly there and will just melt. Yes, it will take a few turns, you'll have to wait for the charge to come back, but it will always hit, it cannot be dodged. That said, there are enemies that will have refraction, so they reflect light-based attacks, but that's later on in the game. The reason I dislike light manipulation is, one, I feel like it, for me personally, I feel like it falls off a lot from like the late mid game into the late game. It's just a bad gun, basically. And I think having to wait for it to charge is also really annoying. But I think for the early game, light manipulation is really great. I don't know if it deserves to be an A tier, in my opinion. I think there's a case to be made that, yeah, you can put it up here, but it would be like right at the end. I think for me, it's like here. Good damage, quite expensive. Waiting for it to recharge is frustrating if you play fast, like I keep saying. It doesn't do that much damage, but it does have pretty decent penetration. And the extra light radius that comes from it is really nice. Yeah, that's really it. It doesn't get affected by willpower. Esper mutation having it rough. Yeah, I'll say I think Espers are objectively worse than Chimeras. But this is all my opinion, guys, okay? It's beaten by a laser rifle even at high levels. Exactly. Which is why I think it belongs in B tier, because it is really good in the early game. So yeah, I think once you start to get laser weapons, it kind of falls off. But I will say the fact that it doesn't miss is, there's not anything else in the game like that. So that is a huge plus for it. But beyond that, that's where I stand on light manipulation. The infinite range with perfect accuracy is the best part. Pair it with clairvoyance for the whole map. Yeah, exactly. Esper's either a feast or famine. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's kind of where I feel about light manipulation. I don't really have anything else to say about it. Obviously, the real power of the Esper is the higher your ego. You don't even have to worry about leveling anything up manually with mutation points. So you'll often find yourself, if you're playing as a, especially as a pure Esper, you'll find yourself being able to get more and more mutations every run. Speaking of all mutations, why don't we talk about Mass Mind? Mass Mind is I don't know, it's a masochist's wet dream, basically. If you use Mass Mind, it will instantly refresh all of your mental mutations. Costs 4 points, by the way. Will instantly refresh all of your mental mutations. However, it also means that other Espers in the world, there's a chance every turn to have another Esper steal your I don't know, your glimmer, and have one of your mental mutations go on cooldown even when it's not in use, which is really annoying. I think the most niche case for Mass Mind, though, is the fact that every time you use it will increase your glimmer by 1. Meaning, if you're an absolute masochist and you want to start farming extra dimensional invaders, or just regular invaders, you can just spam this over and over and you can get your glimmer really high really quickly, which can be really good if you want to get certain achievements. It's a fun thing. I almost never would pick it, and I think as well the fact that it costs 4 points. Let's take a look at the chance. I think obviously the biggest downside. Banky. Thank you, Cartoonist. Thank you very much for the sub. The biggest downside is obviously having your power stolen, right? Really, really stupid. Stolen power chance is 1.3 minus 0.005 times your willpower bonus minus... Okay, I'm not even going to read this. Okay. I'm gonna put Mass Mind. It's a solid C tier. It goes here. I think that's fair. What do you guys think? $1,300 hours of caves and you've never used Mass Mind. Yeah. I wouldn't be happy to ever receive it through spending mutation points randomly, and I would personally never pick it at character creation unless I was going for a super gimmicky build. It is better than BEAK though, confirmed. There is a case of putting it in D tier. But you don't forget though that just at the press of a button, it will take all of your mental abilities off of cooldown. Meaning you can combo Sunder Mind, for example, or something like that. All right, moving on. Mental Mirror. I actually like Mental Mirror a lot. It's something I tend to take whenever I'm playing an Esper. I may be slightly biased. Mental Mirror is a 2-point mutation, so it's cheap. However, it's not that useful most of the time. You reflect mental attacks back at the attacker. Meaning that, you know, if you're running, for example, Evil Twin as your defect, right? This is actually, I was thinking about this today, this is a hard counter to Evil Twin in a way, because obviously the Evil Twin will have Mental Mirror if you do. If you let them attack you first with a mental ability, your Mental Mirror breaks, their ability goes on cooldown, you then use a shitty mental ability on them, break their Mental Mirror, and then you go in there with like Sunder Mind or whatever. This is a very niche case, obviously. It's got a pretty small cooldown as well. It's a 50 turn cooldown, I think, as standard. Let's have a look. Yeah. And depending on your willpower, it goes even... The cooldown is even less. That said, it's really only that useful if you're being attacked, you know, by Espers. But if you're playing an Esper, that's going to happen all the time. There's a case for this, I think, to be... It's not A tier. It's B tier, in my opinion. I'm going to annoy people. I'm actually going to put it in front of Cryokinesis. I'm going to put it about here. Because it can save you. And it has saved me a lot. You say high B. It's a run saver. Dick Defrag, you think it's low C. It's valuable for dealing with Esper Hunters. Fred says C or a B. Isn't great counter to Evil Twin to just have 1 to 2 followers that can kill them. Yeah, that is a more simple counter. Reflecting Confusion is good as well. That's true, but if you have a high willpower anyway, which you always should, a lot of people kind of sleep on willpower. Willpower is so good for the extra mental armor. By the way, anybody watching right now, if you're watching on YouTube, I encourage you to hit the sub button. It would mean a lot. It's completely free, and you can catch more streams. And if you're on Twitch, hit the follow button. I dare you. I double dare you. It is kind of necessary for Sunder Mind, yeah. Well, not necessary, but it's just... There's nothing worse than going to Sunder somebody and them having Mental Mirror. So when it's the other way around and somebody tries to Sunder me and I have Mental Mirror, I'm like, ha, fuck you. MA is bad because the metal armor it gives just wears off. You don't get back to the regens. Yeah, that's true, but the regen is very, very low. For an Esper ability, this has like a really short cooldown. And also, the metal armor bonus is so good. Even at level 1, it gives you 4 extra MA. 4.
Yandere Laplasov is now following.
4 MA, by the way, is the equivalent to 8 willpower. Bear that in mind. If I hit the sub button, I'll unsubscribe. Okay, not you then, Jordak. Thank you very much for the follow. Yandere Laplastov. I have no idea how to pronounce your name, but thank you very much for the follow. I appreciate it. How are you doing? Also, yes, check out the Discord. Thank you very much. If you guys like Caves of Cud and you have Discord, we have a very, 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 very active Caves of Cud room on Discord. We have lots of other games that we like to talk about. Lots of music, lots of art, lots of film, all of that kind of stuff. I encourage you to join if you are that way inclined. Alright, let's move on, shall we? Next up we have Metamorphosis. Now, this technically is not truly in the game. I'm going to put it at the end. We'll deal with this one at the end. Alright, Multiple Arms. Multiple Arms is pretty sick. Gives you two extra arms at the start of the game. And it also increases the odds of you making an extra attack whenever you make a melee attack, which is pretty sick. There are downsides. This is 4 points, by the way, so fairly expensive. Can I just... Let's firstly say that the biggest downside of multiple arms is, even though you have more arm slots and more, you still have to fill them. Especially the arm slots. If you're wearing armor, if you're wearing a leather bracer, right, that's 1 AV. But now you're going to need 4 of them just to average out the armor value. So you actually don't get any real benefit from that, for example. That said, it's really fun. It's really cool. You can basically attack more often with your offhand. It also works with multi-weapon fighting. If you're doing multi-weapon fighting with multiple arms, you're going to make an obscene amount of attacks. See you, monkey. Take it easy. Good luck with your presentation. Yeah, multiple arms, 4 cost. Doesn't give you any extra additional like space to carry more guns, but just being able to attack more. Let's see, at level 1 it's a 10% chance for your offhands to attack. At level 10 that goes up to 37%, meaning that's, you know, just over 1 in 3 chance for each of your offhands to attack. It's good. It's also just, like, conceptually, it's really cool, I think. It depends on what you're playing. If you're playing with, you know, single weapon fighting build, it might not be the most useful thing. But it's fun. I think for me, it's this might upset some people. I think it's a high B. It's a high B, low A. There are things I'd rather have, but I'm also never upset taking it if I'm doing that kind of build. If I'm going for... And this, especially when I started playing CUD, this is the kind of build I would go for. It's just more attacks per second. If you couple this, for example, with like any kind of quickness increase from like heightened quickness or photosynthetic skin, this goes absolutely crazy. You know what, I'm talking myself out of it. Maybe it is an A tier. I'm gonna put it about here. It's an average A tier. How do you guys think about that? I think for me it's, yeah, it's either high B, low A, kind of. Maybe I'm giving it a bit too much sauce there. Let's put it here. Multiple arms plus double muscle plus cudgel weapons. Kindrish is your go-to for filling extra arm slots. Yeah, Kindrish is great. Good for torch as well. Yeah. You'd rather do main hand short blade, one offhand axe for cleave. Low A is fine. You agree with that one. Sire, the bell curve is becoming... Yeah, I know. I think we've gone quite heavy into A, haven't we? You know what I'm going to do? Call me crazy. This goes here now. Yeah. That's right, I did it. How do you guys feel about that, huh? I will say another thing, yeah, with the two glove slots, if you have, you know, Nanin fingers, for example, that's going to mean that if you're doing an axe build, for example, you're going to be proccing a lot more with those dismembers or those stuns. You know, anything that has a percentage chance to proc. True, yeah, extra arms is more, and that is how I would play this. If I'm doing multiple arms, I will probably put the carbide wrist blades there in place of actual armor, because they're gonna proc as well. I am crazy. But bell curve, more like a bell end. Hey. Yeah, I feel like that's good. Right, let's move on to multiple legs. Multiple legs goes hard. It's very expensive. It's a 5-point mutation. But it's easy A. I don't quite think it deserves to be an S tier. But let's just hold on before I rank it. Let's just say, right, 5 points. At level 1, it gives you plus 20 movement speed as well as a slight increase to your carry capacity. I think early game, being able to run away from enemies is, you know, super important. You also get an additional pair of boots to wear, which means, for example, you could wear on one set of feet like anti-gravity boots and be able to fly, but then on the other pair of boots have something with like actual like armor. I think it's great. It is very expensive though, I will say that. Also it says here on the wiki, contracting Iron Shank will be a viable means to improve AV without compromising mobility. True. True. You know, the feet slot are objectively less useful than the, you know, the gloves and the arm slots. The armor is averaged, yes, yeah. It's always averaged if you have more than one of something. Yeah, I think it's expensive. Do I think it's better than multiple arms? Kind of, sometimes. This is more of a survivability thing. This is more of a, you know, an offensive ability. Maybe it goes just after. That's kind of boring though, isn't it? Where would you guys put it? I'm not sure about this one, if I prefer it to multiple arms. I think maybe this moves up slightly. And then we put that here. Yeah. Will I be doing a cybernetic tier list sometime? Yes, I absolutely will. It's more universal. Yeah, true. You would put it above multiple arms. It's an S tier for you. Safety button that never turns off. It's always good. Yeah, maybe you guys are right. Maybe it is better. I was thinking that. But I think I'm gonna, for now, I'm gonna leave it where it is. Maybe I'll put it here. Because this is always good, right? Like, if I were to get this, if I were to be offered this for 4 points, I would be very happy to see it. Would I buy it right off the bat? No, because I've played a lot of CUD, and generally I wouldn't get myself into a situation where I need to run. I know that's not always the case, because you don't know what's around the corner sometimes, but it's really good. You would put it above arms. The movement's level, yeah, I think the at level 10 you basically have doubled your movement speed, which is really, really good. You know what? You guys have talked me into it. I'm gonna put it, no, I'm gonna put it here. I wouldn't put it in S tier personally, but I do really see the value of it. It's just very expensive. This is for some reason this is the one that I think has been the hardest for me to rank so far. Maybe because we already have a lot of stuff in the on the list here. Multi-legs is a weird synergy with wings, even underground, because of sprint seed. Yeah, exactly. Thank you for the hydrate reminder. Yeah, it's not flashy, but it's reliable, exactly.
Papyrus 600 is now following.
Hey, Papyrus, thank you very much for the follow. How you doing? Welcome. Night vision. I like night vision. If I ever have 1 point left over, which is very often, this is what I'll be taking. It's a 1 point thing. It allows you to see in the dark, albeit it's only, I think it has a radius of like 5 tiles. So not much. So you only see, you know, a little way in front of you. But that said, it allows you to free up 1 extra hand if you want to go for an early shield build. By unequipping the torch. That said, it is not that good overall. I'm gonna put it in a C. I do think it's better than BEAK in my opinion, and I think it's also better than a lot of these things. I'm gonna put it here. Maybe even here. No, I'm gonna put it here. It feels wrong putting a 1 point ahead of like confusion. Boring but functional. Exactly. It also allows you to see the troll, the invisible troll, without having to find night vision goggles. Only cost 1. No, the points don't roll over if you leave any on the table at character creation. You start from 0 always. Okay. Man, this song goes hard. What is this one called? It's called Lemmy's Lament. Jesus. Alright, anyway. I'm pretty sure it does let you see the invisible troll, as long as they're not coated. As long as they're not coated in convalescence, it will allow you to see the troll. What's next? Paralysis Stinger. Paralysis Stingers, again, it's a C, it's a B or a C tier. Do I prefer it to Confusion Stinger? Well, it is more expensive than the Confusion Stinger, that's for sure. Being able to paralyze an enemy, pretty good. It costs 4 points, which is maybe a bit too expensive in my opinion. I think actually because of that, I will put it just behind Confusion. Again, it's a long blade weapon, meaning that it's and it has a flat 20% chance to strike in the same way that Horns does, even if it's used with like multi-weapon fighting. So at level 1, the paralysis is between 2 to 4 rounds. At level 10, it's a 1d3 plus 4. That's not great, is it? I think it goes here. It does scale with willpower. You can get the cooldown obscenely low. 5 turns is the max, which does make it good. You know what, Hertzsmith, you're not wrong. Hertzsmith says that it can stack up some of the biggest shanks of all time. That's a very niche case, for sure. But yeah, absolutely. But for me, it is worse because it is more expensive. It's 4 points as opposed to 3 with the Confusion Stinger. Okay, phasing. I kind of fear phasing. It's a 4-point mutation. You can do some really crazy things. Phasing allows you to, for a certain amount of time, become basically intangible, move through walls, avoid being attacked entirely. A really, really good, you know, get out of jail free card. That said, you can also accidentally kill yourself if you come back, if you become tangible in the middle of, you know, like a wall, for example. Papyrus says also allows you to gain Grit Gate early. Yeah, true. It allows you to bypass, you know, anything with a door, which is good. But then again, so does a pickaxe, you know. I personally don't find myself taking phasing too often. Has some really cool synergies. And it is affected by willpower. You can get permaphased as well. If you get your phasing high enough, you can get it to the point where the cooldown is less than the amount of, less than the duration. Phase Silk exists. It doesn't kill me more than Burgeoning, but the deaths make me feel more stupid because they're in my control. If you do get a permaphase build, you know, like, it does make late game enemies very trivial, but then again, attacking them, you know, you're gonna need some kind of phase harmonic weapon. I think for me, phasing is a B tier, which I think will upset some people, but it's not A tier. I put it around here. I think. I don't know if I'd be happy to receive it mid-game, personally, and I probably wouldn't use it too often. But this is where I put phasing, right smack bang in the middle of B tier, basically. I think I've actually put it higher than maybe I should have. Do you know why I put it here? Is because I was hearing like comments from the future saying, I can't believe we put phasing above Mental Mirror or below Mental Mirror. But you know what? Now you've mentioned it, Jonas, it's going here. Actually, I would rather have Cryokinesis. I would rather have phasing than Force Wall, I think. But I'd rather have Cryo. Not really, XX. There are some attacks that certain enemies can do that will be omni-phased. Very easy to replace with Mills. Same as Psychometry, says Big Iron. Yeah, exactly. I think it's here. You know what? The more I think about it, the more I want to put it down. But for now, I'm gonna leave it here. And that's phasing. Photosynthetic skin is S tier. Let me explain. Photosynthetic skin is super cheap. It costs 2 points. Level 1, it gives you 15 quickness. But, as well as, you know, in the same way that heightened quickness does, but it also gives you a boost to your regeneration. That said, you do have to bask outside every day, but if you level it up high enough, you get ingredients that you can cook starch and lignin. So even if you're underground and you can't bask on the surface, you can still use it. It's obviously far less passive than heightened quickness, but with the extra regen thing that it does, it also allows you to, I believe, if you stand on a tile that has like a plant on it, it will also boost your dodge value, which is a nice. It also has extra rep with Consortium of Fighter, which is really good, because that includes like all of the really good traders in the game. You know, Six Shrew, Tilly. So for me, it does make you vulnerable to defoliant, but who cares? That's never been an issue for me. Hey, Loquatran, how you doing, dude? For me, photosynthetic is an S tier. That might come as a surprise to some people, but that's where I believe it lives. It lives up in the S tier. Let me bask. Yeah, exactly. How many times have I said that recently? I'm like, oh no. But you know what? As long as you remember to do it, it can be tedious if you have to remember to bask all the time. But if you remember to do it, you're like, dude, let me bask. I'm enjoying it. The errant snapjaw with a defoliant grenade becomes lethal. Yeah, exactly. It costs 2. Yeah, I think that's the real reason it's S tier. It costs 2 mutation points. Just 2. Would I be happy to see it even if I spent 4? Yeah, even though I'm paying double for it. It's extra quickness. And there's really only a handful of things that do that. There's this, and... yeah, adrenal control. That's it. Yeah, starch and you get 1 serving of starch and lignin, early level, and then the higher you get it, you get more and more servings. So at level 10 you have 3 servings, and if you couple that with fasting whey, then you get hungry less often anyway. So I love it. I think photosynthetic skin is incredible. What are the downsides? Let's see what the wiki says. They take damage from defoliant, whatever, no one cares about that. If you're dying to defoliant, then you should uninstall the game. Basking is only possible during the day and above ground. True, that is annoying. You do have to wait till morning quite a lot. You occasionally get stuck in your sappy blood. Not if you have high enough agility, you don't have to worry about that. Sappy blood cannot be used for biodynamic cells, that's fine. The DV bonus can be hard to utilize. Yeah, that's true. But I'm not picking this because of the DV bonus, nor is anybody else. Those are just happy little benefits, you know? There we go. Moving on. Poison Stinger. Alright, Poison Stinger, you know, is the only of the stingers that actually does damage. Meaning it may be objectively the best one. That said, it doesn't actually give you any, like, free attacks on an enemy. It costs 4, so it costs the same as Paralysis Stinger. But it doesn't paralyze or confuse enemies. However, you can use your Poison Stinger for a guaranteed, envenomation, infliction of poison. I don't know what you'd call it. So I think because of that, because it is a nice little extra piece of damage. I mean, it's not the most damage in the world, but the dice roll for the poison is a lot more than just the damage from the stinger itself. At level 10, it's a 10d2. So not bad. I think it belongs probably in B tier for me. It goes ahead of... I'll be honest, I would rather have it than phasing. I don't think I'd rather have it over cryo. But I think it goes right about here for me. True, there are things that don't get the poison, you know, robots being an obvious example. There's also toughness saves that you can make against poison, and it's the same with enemies. So if the enemy has too high of a toughness, the poison's not even going to work. But it's pretty good. It's a nice little extra boost to damage, in the way that, you know, bloodletting is if you're using a short blade. I think that's all I really have to say about Poison Stinger. We're done with all of the stingers now, which is nice. Precognition's next, by the way. Jesus Christ. Alright. Precog. Precognition.
Bing bang.
Bing bong. Precog. Alright, precognition, right? It's 4 points. Which is weird because I almost feel like it should be 5 for what it can do. It allows you to look into the future, has an obscenely high cooldown, like 500 turns. Lets you look into the future and basically save scum from the point that you... Maybe saying save scum is a bit harsh, but it allows you to jump back in time to the point that you first used it. It's an obvious S tier. It does the same thing as Sphinx Salt, but Sphinx Salt only works on Truekin, and it's a much shorter duration, because obviously you can't level up Sphinx Salt, although you can level up your Truekin abilities, but I'm not going to get into that right now. It's an S tier. I'm going to put it about here. I'm sorry, I can't let anything go above Corrosive Gas. Although I think objectively, it does belong about here. It is really unique as well in that I don't know of any other video games that have an ability like Precognition that allow, and the way that it's done, like in a mechanical sense, is so cool. It's Cogmind is on Cogmind is on Sunday, by the way, Lokachan. Yeah, this is Precog, you know, it's gotten all of us out of sticky situations. You can also abuse it in a lot of ways, such as being able to get certain achievements. I'm not going to do any achievement spoilers here. You can do some weird stuff with it. It's Prince of Persia mode. It allows you to take risks without any kind of repercussion. You know, drinking neutron flux, jumping down, you know, the wrong chute in Golgotha, whatever you want. Like, it's really crazy. There are certain achievements that you can't really get without it as well. That's all I'll say. It's a fun ability to use. And it's borderline essential depending on what kind of build you're doing. If I'm doing a domination build, for example, I'm almost always going to have... And if I'm doing like a perma-domination build, I'm always going to have precognition as well. Just so I don't have to keep re-rolling the character when I die, you know? Yeah, it lets you assault the Barathromites without recourse, exactly. Strange to find the same village 60 times in a run. Yeah, I know, right, Tachyon? I'll say no more. It also, you know, because it's an Esper ability, it's going to scale really well with your ego, meaning you very rarely will even have to touch it. At level 10, it lasts for like 50 something rounds, which is a lot, you know. It's a banger. I believe your willpower can also help with the cooldown, but less so. It does have certain things, like you can't use precognition, for example, to determine like what mutations you're offered when you spend mutation points. Nor can you use it when you use Eater's Nectar Injector, because you don't need to, because all of that stuff is seeded. And I'll make a whole video about this at another point, about some of the seeded stuff in the background, but for now let's just finish with precog. What about enemies having precognition? No, enemies can't have precognition. In 50 rounds you can get the Nephilim most of the time. Yeah, just about, I would say, yeah. Alright. This next one's gonna annoy some people. Psychometry. It's a 3-point mutation. It allows you to basically identify and learn how to build artifacts. You can also open security doors. It's a C tier. I'm sorry. It's a C tier. It's like here for me. Some people really like precognition. I am not one of those people. It's 3 points, which is already too much, and you know, we all know about the oven in Ezra that does the same thing anyway. It's not something I would ever willingly take at the start, and if I was offered it, spending 4 mutation points, I would be very, very mad if this was the best of the, you know, the options. I mean, the more I talk about it, the more I want to put it in D tier, I'm going to be honest. Where do I'm gonna put it like, I'm gonna put it here. I'm gonna put it behind Mass Mind. All right, you know what? You guys are calling for it. It's going in D tier. There we go. I never take it. I don't like it. I think it's a cool. Yeah, if bananas didn't exist, it would be useful to take. Yeah, I don't think there's really anything else to say about it, right? What's this? Frizz is saying that enemies can have precognition. They might have the ability, but they can't use it. So that effectively means they can't have it. Yeah, I would say they are. It is a noob trap, precognition, psychometry. You know, no disrespect to anybody who takes it and enjoys it. Good on you. I am not one of those people. Okay, let's move on. Pyrokinesis. It's a 4-point cost. It's the same as cryokinesis, but with fire. Although I would say it's objectively worse. Where a cryokinesis freezes enemies on the spot, pyrokinesis sets them on fire, but they're still coming towards you, meaning it's less defensive. I guess it's more of an offensive, but the range is so bad on it that I would rather have Flaming Ray any day of the week. It's just not that good. I think it's a high C. I'm gonna put it here for now. I think the cooldown is pretty good, but again, it's nowhere near Flaming Ray, and fire destroys, you know, destroys loot, it burns bodies. Pyrokinesis is the best ability in the game for heating up the squares adjacent to enemies. True. Dick Defrag, he hates pyrokinesis. They don't stay in it for long enough. I think if it had slightly better range, they only have an 8 tile range that you can cast them from. Same with cryokinesis. This does do more damage, but cryokinesis at least freezes stuff. This just sets them on fire. I will say, if you're running a spacer pistol or a spacer rifle build, this is incredibly good. Making entire groups become auroral at once. I don't think it synergizes particularly well with anything other than that, though. Pyrokinesis with Fugue, possibly one of my most hated pairings. Yeah, that sounds awful. It goes here. I'll put it here. It's weird though. I wouldn't necessarily be unhappy to see it pop up mid-run, because it is damage at the end of the day. But it's just not that good. You know? I know. I don't really know what else to say about it. Alright, Quills. Quills is a 3-pointer, so it's one less than Carapace. It replaces your body armor slot with Quills, like a hedgehog. Or like an echidna, if you're from Australia. Or like a... What's an animal from North America that has quills? An aardvark? No. Quills, I will say, Quills is cool in that it does deal damage, and it actually deals pretty decent damage for what it is. You can expel Quills around you, and as long as you've got more than half of your Quills remaining, you keep your armor value. But again, it prevents you from equipping armor on your torso. And I believe that even at level 10, the armor is objectively like worse than just having you know, Zetachrome armor. A porcupine. There we go, that's what I was trying to think of. Porcupine, thank you. Sonic, or yeah, Sonic is also American. Although Sonic is a hedgehog. Do you have hedgehogs in America? I thought hedgehogs were a European thing. Anyway. Quills is it's a I don't know, it's a C tier, I think. I believe it's a C tier. Would I be happy to get it? No, it would cause me to quit my run if I had to take Quills, or if I got hit by a Gamma Moth and I somehow rolled a small percentage chance to get a, you know, a positive mutation. If Quills can even be that, I would literally re-roll the run. Yeah, one of the most annoying meal effects for sure. I think C is right about where it belongs. Anything else to say about it? Useful for cooking builds whenever you reflect damage. Okay, no, that's true. Hits flying creatures, that's also true. Reflects melee damage. Yeah. But just the lack of actual armor from it is just not good. Damage reflection mentioned. Yeah, exactly. One day, Big Iron, I'm gonna do that build. You have a bear in the backyard who's absolutely destroying your Saskatoons. What a dick. I have no idea what a Saskatoon is. Yeah, this is where Quills go. It's a C tier at best. It doesn't belong in a... It's actually too close to... You know what? Carapace moves up. Congratulations to all of the Carapace enjoyers. It moves up the rankings. Now I'm talking about Quills. People have hedgehogs as pets in North and South America. Okay, and they're from Africa and Europe. You know the weird thing? All over the UK, you see hedgehogs. You often see them dead on the side of the road. I don't know why I'm laughing. But here in London, I've never seen a hedgehog in like 10 plus years of being here. It's a berry. Oh, okay. You've been hearing about the reflect damage build for a year now. Okay, everybody watching this now who watches my YouTube series, I promise you, next series will be a damage reflection based series somehow. Hidden perk of Carapace, you can't get Quills. Exactly. Alright, let's move on. Regeneration. Regeneration, pretty sick. 4 points. Allows you to basically heal a percentage chance quicker than you would otherwise, and also to regrow a limb and to shake off a debuff. Once you get it to level 10, you basically can never be dismembered or decapitated. You instantly will grow the limb back. and the likelihood for it to remove debuffs goes up exponentially from it going to just minor debuffs to actual debuffs. So things like mutating gaze from a gamma moth, any kind of disgusting like infection. Regen is good. It's not quite S tier, but I believe it belongs in A tier. It's quite boring, I will say that. It's not a very exciting thing to take, but it's really friggin' good. Let me tell you, right, regen, it allows you to shake off Glot Rot, Sore Throat, which is Glot Rot, Iron Shank, Blurry Vision, which is Monochrome, mutations from a Gamma Moth, all of this stuff, you know, especially the mutation from the Gamma Moth, like, that is the worst thing that can happen to your character. It's basically the equivalent of getting, like, mutant AIDS, right? It's not exciting, it's not, you know, glitz and glam, but it is solid. I'm never upset to have it, never upset to have to take it, depending on what kind of build I'm going for. It's an A tier. Is it better than Freezing Ray? Yep. Is it better than Burgeoning? Yep. Is it better than Multiple Arms? Yep. Electrical Gen? It's around here somewhere. I think it goes about here. Regen is underrated. You will dominate Cherub. Yeah, I will say the regen, like the health regen is the least important thing to me. It's a nice boost. So if you pair it with meditate, you regen health insanely quickly. But it's an A tier. You know what? It's actually lower in A than I think I put it last time. It can be a bit of a crutch if you rely on it too much and then you have a run without it. It is a bit like, ugh, you know, I wish I had regen. I personally would never rapidly advance it. I don't think it's worth it at all. It's a get it to level 10 and then leave it kind of mutation. And that's why I think it belongs right about here. If regen felt like it gave more health, you think it'd be S tier, but it's more like something you take for immunities rather than HP. Exactly. It's best to discover it instead of picking at the start. Exactly. Yeah, you can just get it to level 5 as well for the chance to start shaking off, you know, the more serious stuff. But it's level 10 where you'll instantly regrow a limb. Meaning you can no longer be, like, automatically, you know, dismembered. You'll just straight away grow it back. Pretty good. Okay, so, what's up next? Sense Psychic. It's a D tier. I mean, I never take it. It's kind of useful in that it does show you where some enemies are, but it's just some enemies. It's just the ones that are psychic, right? It is a 1 cost. It has a radius of like 9. There's not really anything else to say about it. You never need it because enemies will just sunder you. Yeah, exactly. It's like a high D tier compared to some of these things. Maybe I'll put it like... Would I rather have it than Kindle? Yeah. And that's Sense Psychic. Moving on. Helpful for espers. That's true. I will say you could synergize it with you know, I don't know, any kind of ranged attack if you know where an esper is. But it's, how often is that going to happen realistically? Okay, sleeping gas. Corrosive gas is ugly cousin. Sleep gas is good. It is 3 points. like corrosive gas, you release gas around you. It doesn't do damage, but it puts enemies to sleep. Has a very, very short cooldown. However, I think the real power of this is that it makes you immune to being put to sleep by sleep gas yourself. Where would I rank it? Well, it's certainly not S tier, and I don't think it's A tier. I think it's a B tier. It's a really reliable way of dealing with anything, you know, chasing you. It's kind of boring. I think the really short cooldown does mean you can, if you're doing a melee build, for example, you just put everything to sleep. I think it's a high B for me. Would I rather have it than Domination? In most cases, yes. But Domination is a bit of a niche case here. Would I have it over Clairvoyance? I don't think so. I think I'd have it about here. Smack bang at the start. No, it doesn't. It doesn't aggro friendlies. No. But then again, you know, bear in mind, this is a gas that you release, so it only will apply to enemies near you. So if an enemy is shooting at you, or, you know, they're sundering your mind from across the map, it's not going to do anything. I think that's all I really have to say about sleep gas. Enemies, yeah, that's a good thing. The wiki says here that enemies caught in the gas have to make a toughness save to fall asleep. So if the toughness is too high, it won't actually proc. So I think because of that, it belongs in B tier. It's mid, exactly. Is there a way to make adrenaline and ego projection work together in a build? If you pop adrenaline first, that will level up. Well, no, actually, I'm not sure. I don't think about that. Right, next up we have slime glands. Slime glands is another one pointer. You shoot slime. It can be pretty handy. It makes enemies slip when they're coming for you. They can slip closer to you though. I've seen that happen. I think I don't know. How do I feel about slime? I think if it gave you like ooze rep, I would think it would be a lot better than it is, but it's still a D tier. It's like here. It needs to give you rep for it to be good, but then again, it only costs 1, you know? Ooze rep, or yeah, maybe mollusk rep. I think it does allow you to maybe move through other liquids without having to worry, but it's I think also you can technically make a lot of money through it if you put slime down and then put a desalination pellet in it, maybe. I haven't tried that yet. But there you go. What more to say about slime glands? It does seem like a good combo, yeah, with corrosive for the poop fart build. You're not wrong. Alright, next up, space-time vortex. I'm gonna be honest, I hate space-time vortex. I don't hate it in the way that it is like... It's just very unreliable. It is a great panic button. It costs 3 points, which I think is fair. It does allow you to, you know, just jump into it and appear God knows where. But it's, you know, it's always a gamble. You often come out of a portal in a place that's worse than where you were before. That said, if it lands on an enemy, you know, it basically completely negates fighting any enemy in the game because they just get sucked away. Also, the vortexes, if you can find a way to cast more than one of them and they collide, it does an obscene amount of damage. But it's just not that good. I think it's a C tier for me. It has a really high cooldown as well. Actually, no, I lie. When you get it to level 10, it will have a 50 round cooldown. Holy shit, actually, hold on. So, five rounds is the lowest it will go from level 11 onwards, but you get a bonus duration. I don't know, it's just not good. It also doesn't really have many good synergies. Like, if you have Temporal Fugue and you have Space-Time Vortex, goodbye to the run. You have to be lucky to get a good roll from it, you know? It's like here. I'm gonna put it here. Just ahead of BEAK. A lot of the times I maybe would prefer to have BEAK, honestly. Also, when you teleport an enemy, you're not killing it, you don't get any XP. And yeah, it's a great way to lose followers, exactly. Yeah, it's kind of a meme. It's almost like a meme-y kind of mutation, for sure. Next up we have spinnerets. People really seem to like spinnerets. It's another one-pointer. They like it because you can harvest the... It's not a one-pointer, sorry. It's a fully fledged mutation, which doesn't seem right. In my head, it should be a one-pointer. The fact that it costs 3 does not bode well for it. It does make you immune to other stepping in webs and getting stuck in them. And it also allows you to make phase webs if you also have phasing. AKA if you just have a build that I personally do not like. Where would I put it? You are probably right, it probably is underrated. It's not for me. I think the fact that it costs 3, it seems like something that should only cost 1 point, in my opinion. And even putting the webs down, like, it's very situated. Unless you're in like a corridor, that's not really going to do much. It's a low C. In fact, it's a very low C. It's like here. It may even be a D tier for me. I know some of you really enjoy it. I am not one of those people. Let's see what the wiki... If there's anything on the wiki that will change my mind. It has a short cooldown, that's for sure. With phasing is a fun combo. Maybe, not for me though. Below burrowing. Yeah, you know what? I actually think burrowing is too high. There we go. No. Rep with arachnids. I don't think arachnid... I don't really care about arachnid rep, personally. It can save your life. Okay, you know what, Stonecoat? Just that sentence alone makes me think, you know what, maybe then. I'll put it here, and that's the most I'm gonna move it. I do not like spinnerets. Maybe one day I'll do a build where I give it more of a shake. I'll admit it's not something I ever choose. But yep, there we go. That's spinnerets. Yoki, you watched my recent play with corrosive gas. It got you to get the game, and you played and you passed 20 hours in a few days. Hell yeah, dude. I hope that you're having a good time. And I'm really glad that you're enjoying the game because of me. If Spinneret saves your life, you should have made better decisions. Yeah, agreed. Alright, where are we now? Stunning Force. I'll be honest, I always confuse Stunning Force and Disintegration. Stunning Force is mental, right? I actually have no idea how much this one costs. It costs 3. Okay. This allows you to basically, you know, make a big bang with your mind, push enemies away from you, but it doesn't do that much damage. But it has a pretty low cooldown. It can knock enemies into walls, which is pretty good, I guess. I'll be honest, this is something I almost would never take. And I'm thinking about how I'd rank this. In my head, this is very similar to Disintegration. Except this is objectively better because it doesn't leave you, you know, like, stunned for 3 turns. I think maybe it's a C tier from me. It is an AoE attack, which is always nice. It can stun enemies, but I would never really pick it. I think for me this is gonna go right about. Would I rather have it than Confusion? Probably. I don't know if I'd rather have it than Pyro. Like, even though I would take Night Vision more often, for example, you know, it's a 1-pointer, so I feel bad putting it ahead. This is about as far as a 1-pointer could go, I think. Does that make sense? I think that's really all I have to say with yeah, if you had it with Temple Fugue, that's gonna be awful. I'm gonna be right back, like 1 minute. I shall I just need to go do something real quick. Okay, I am back. You've done Stunning Force and Temporal Fugue before. You can confirm it's horrible. Yep. 100%. I wish I had, like, taken it more. But I haven't. Excuse me, I accidentally clicked Steam. What's up next? We have Sundermind. Okay. Sundermind. Sundermind is great. I will say that. I mean, we all know it. It's a 4-point mutation. it has basically unlimited range. As long as you can see an enemy, you can basically give it the worst headache of its life. And it's 10 rounds, and on the 10th round it does small increments of damage every round, and then on the 10th round it does a cumulative attack that does huge amounts of damage. Generally enemies are not very good at avoiding it in the way that the player is. The cooldown is pretty high, and whilst you're using it, if you're damaged, it breaks the sunder. Attacks are rolled against mental armor rather than actual, you know, normal armor, which is quite unique. But it's great. It's so good. Makes early leveling, yeah, incredibly easy. Like, you can just stand in the desert and just sundermind a bunch of dawn gliders and just like level up really, really quick. Synergizes extremely well with clairvoyance. If you have clairvoyance sundermind combo, you can just kill stuff that can't even see you, that you can't even see. The only problem is you have to wait for it to come back on in between. There's a case for it to maybe go in S tier. I think it's a high A tier for me. I think I'd put Sundermind. Would I put it in S tier? I don't know. I think I might put it as a low S tier. If we say that S tier is something that you do build a run around, then Sundermind is one of those, like Temporal Fugue. Sundermind combos go insanely hard. Having your mind sundered sucks, so to be able to do that to an enemy is incredible. I think, yeah, you know what? It's gonna stay. It's gonna stay here. Bypasses armor completely, attacks mental armor. It's really good. The only problem is obviously you can't use it on robotic enemies, anything like that. It's a solid mutation that I'm never upset to have. And also, you know, by virtue of the fact that it's a Esper ability, it automatically basically levels itself up. So it's great. Hey, Ellipsis, good to see you. Glad you're here. Unless a robot is a psychic.
The Communist is now following.
The Communist, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome, how are you? Anything else we want to mention about Sundermind? I'm not sure, I think that's pretty much all of it. Yeah, my favourite thing to do early game with Sundermind is just kill Dawn Gliders. It's so reliable. Alright, let's move on, shall we? Siphon Vim. I slept on Siphon Vim for a long time. It's 3 points. Basically, it allows you to become a vampire. Has a obscenely high cooldown. But every turn, you do a little bit of damage and you heal yourself for that damage. And it is very low damage, don't get me wrong. But if you get it to a high level, it gives you like actual sustain, which is really rare in Caves of Cud without using, you know, a salve injector. Something like that. It's also one of the few things that will continue to attack you if you're being siphoned, even if you leave the screen or teleport away. It gets really, really cracked at high levels. But it's pretty crappy low level, let's be honest. And if you're playing an Esper, most of the time you have to be within melee range to use it. So you know, you have to be up close and personal. But if you're building like a hybrid, it's really good. It also works on phasing. Yeah, with yeah, it's really good. It's actually kind of sick. I slept on it for a long time. I used to rank it quite low. I'm almost tempted to put it in A tier. Low A, granted. But it's one of the few things that does damage and heals you at the same. It's the only thing. It's pretty sick. It's also affected by willpower, which is also a, you know, a bonus. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so yeah, Siphon Vim. I think it's A tier, like here. I think multiple arms goes up a little bit.
C1A Bon rated my stream with 29 views.
I think we put it here. I'm pretty happy with that. Hey, Claiborne, hello, thank you very much for the raid. Hello, raiders, welcome on in. How's it going? How are you, Clay? How is everybody? If you're new here, hello, my name is Rograt. I stream not as often as I should. Sundays and Wednesdays. I play a lot of Caves of Card, roguelikes, things like that. Let me give you a shout out, Clay. Thank you very much, man. What were you playing today? Dwarf Fort? It does not have range. It has it's a melee attack. We're currently doing a Caves of Cod tier list, Mutation tier list. Yeah, check out the VOD. What I'm going to do tomorrow is I'm going to put chapters in the video. So you can jump directly to... For the time being, everything's in alphabetical order anyway, so... A long, lovely one. You played some We Are About to Die. Love it. Caves of Cod. Love it. RimWorld. Love it. And finally, Baldur's Gate 3. Damn! 16-hour stream. That's crazy, dude. Good on you. Yeah, the stream's going good. I'm a little bit sick at the moment. So I have to keep going to get some medicine. But yeah, other than that, it's good, you know. It's nice to be streaming and doing a tier list for once. What do we have next? Telepathy. Telepathy is it's a D tier. Right off the bat, I can tell you that. It's a 1-pointer, so it almost doesn't count, and it's almost an automatic D tier. It allows you to speak to characters anywhere within vision, rather than them being like right next to you. Tease, thank you very much for the follow, appreciate it. What else to say about telepathy? Not much, honestly. That's really all it does, is instead of being next to a character to talk to them, they can be, you know, anywhere on the map as long as you can see them. Telepathy with beret is cool, infinite range. That is true. That is actually a use case for it being incredibly useful. But beyond that, it stays in D. I don't really know what... It fixes glot rot, true, if you don't have a tongue. Alright, you know what? If you guys like it so much, I'll put it here. You've convinced me. Please excuse me while I have a coughing fit. Anyway. Yeah, telepathy, that's it. It's one of the mutations of all time. That is certainly true. Oh, true. It allows you to read dreams. I forgot about that, but I personally have never done that. But that is a super cool feature that I've never really taken advantage of.
Gondors88 is now following.
Yo, Gondors, thank you very much for the follow. Let's move on. I'm sorry, I'm coughing so much, guys. All of this talking is not helping. Okay, teleport other. Teleport other is a 2 cost. It's very, very cheap. It allows you to teleport an enemy or an ally to any other point, basically on the map, to a random location. It's really useful, honestly, if you're being attacked by something that's, you know, too much. But yeah, people Tizo, people sleep on burgeoning, in my opinion. Space-time vortex light, but way better than space-time vortex, I'm gonna be honest. It's cheap, but it's great for just teleporting enemies. You know, they'll still be on the same tile as you, but and you have to have vision, but it allows you to teleport enemies away, which is a great, like, defensive ability. It's a C tier, but it's pretty useful. I don't really know what else to say. It does have a relatively short cooldown, and it is affected by willpower, which is nice. I think the teleport is, you know, it is like randomly selected, which sucks, but it can help you, you know, survive, which is already, you know, makes it significantly better than a lot of stuff. So I think I'm okay putting it here, like mid C. What does the wiki say? Let's see. Low cost, can be used to teleport a dangerous enemy away, can be used to teleport friendly creatures away from danger, can be used on neutral creatures without inciting hostility. Disadvantages are long cooldown, and teleportation is random. Take it easy, Clay. Thanks for being here, man. Appreciate the raid. Pretty sick. Okay, so now for teleportation, teleport others' older brother, teleportation. This is obviously much better. It's also a lot more expensive. It's 5 points, which is crazy. But considering this is it's a reusable Yonder Cane, right? So the Yonder Cane is like one of the most valuable items in the game, yeah? So to have a reusable one is pretty sick. The cooldown, I think, is affected by willpower, which again makes it super fucking, like, good. Hello, Vlad. Hello. Allows you to... I notice you. Hello, hello. How you doing? I think that this is objectively one of the best, like, defensive mutations in the game. Where would I put it? Where would I rank it? I'd probably put it like, fuck knows. I think it's definitely a B tier or above, maybe. Your teleport cooldown on your current Esper is 26. The more you level it up, the smaller the uncertainty radius gets as well. I think you can get it to a point eventually where you can pinpoint. No, it always has a 2-tile. Yeah, okay. A 2-tile uncertainty radius. Yeah, never sell your Yonder Cane. Yonder Cane is like super valuable. I'm gonna put this, honestly, I think this belongs in maybe A tier. Is it better than Freezing Ray? Yeah. Is it better than Siphon Vim? I would rather, as a defensive ability, yeah, maybe. I think I'm going to put it about here. It's very expensive. 5 points. Sorry guys, I'm choking so bad right today. Like, I cannot stop coughing. It's really bad. You're not Vlad, you're Mel. Ah, okay, that makes sense. Hello. Hello, Mel. How are you, my dear? Hope you have a good recording session. Yeah, I think that's a good. Can you teleport into a wall whilst phased? Probably. It's a solid mutation. That's all I'll say about teleportation. Temporal Fugue is S tier. It's high A, low S, right? It's obscenely fun. Like the fact that you can just fucking clone yourself, and all of those clones inherit like all of your abilities, all of your items. This is like the kind of mutation you build a run around. It is really expensive. It's 5 points. Oh, thank you, Mel. I appreciate it. For those of you who don't know, by the way, Vlad, aka Mel, is my girlfriend. So, hello. It's one of the most fun mutations. It can also be a detriment, depending if you have like burgeoning, for example, or if you have like, you know, stunning force. Temporal Fugue becomes like objectively bad. I would actually put it like here. It's an absolute banger of a mutation, you know. Yeah. If you have burgeoning, Frizz, with Temporal Fugue, you will just fill the map instantly with plants. It's insane. You should definitely turn off grenade throwing. Exactly, 9 cats. Like, if you have a handy nuke equipped and you Temporal Fugue, the run is over. That hasn't happened to me, but I do fear it happening to me at some point. Temporal Fugue with a hologram bracelet to really confuse. Yeah, that as well. I will say, the run I currently have with Temporal Fugue, I have a phase cannon with the Nanon modifier, meaning it can dismember me, and quite often my clones accidentally shoot me in the back, and I know one day they're going to shoot me and they're going to take like an arm off, and I'm going to be really pissed. But until then, I always take the risk, you know? It's a banger. It's an easy S tier. The only downside is if you have this and, you know, you're running into like Evil Twin, they also have it, and it's a nightmare. Trying to think, is there anything else about Temporal Fugue that I want to bring up? I don't think so. I think that's it. That's the lowdown on Temporal Fugue. I would say if you haven't taken it, if you're new to the game, take it. It's really fucking fun. What do we have next? Thick Fur. Thick Fur is a 1-pointer. It gives you cold and fire resist. Basically, it's a junk mutation. I'm never upset to see it. If I ever have any, it's between this and night vision, generally speaking. I'm going to put it just ahead of BEAK in C tier. You can't level it up, though. It is what it is. Gives you extra rep with apes. But who gives a shit about that, really? But I would say the extra cold resist, it's slightly handy for Bethesda Susa. The more I look at it, the more actually I think, no, BEAK goes ahead of it. It goes like here. It may even go here. Telepathy. You know what? No, telepathy is a D tier. What am I talking about? My bell curve is broken. It is 1 point. If you have, but I will say, if you have 1 point to spare, why not take night vision? You know, it's just better. Yeah, Frizz, my current run, I have time dilation with temporal fugue with photosynthetic skin, heightened quickness, and corrosive gas. It's like the most powerful build I've ever had. It's insane. It's really good. I will say, Thick Fur does make baboons neutral from the start, so if you're playing, if you're like a new player, that might be a benefit, and that might be maybe enough to put it into C tier, but it's staying in D tier for me. Alright, what do we have now? Time dilation. It's a tempting S tier, but I think it's an A tier. Time dilation is I think a 4 point. Let me check this one. I actually don't know. Yeah, it's a 4 point. It allows you to slow down time for everything around you, and they lose quickness. They lose a lot of quickness. It's basically the equivalent of you having extremely high quickness, although it does have a really high cooldown. The closer an enemy is to you, the more they get time dilated, aka the slower they get. If you pair this with anything that increases your quickness, like nothing stands a chance. It's really good. Also makes a sick noise when you pop it as well. I wanna put it in S tier. The reason I'm not is because I feel like, actually no, it's S tier. In fact, it goes here. It goes above Sunder Mind. Time dilation does not care if it's hostile or an ally. No. So if you have temporal fugue and they use time dilation, you will suffer as a result of it. So keep that in mind. It's insanely powerful though. It's really good. And the cool thing is as well, it's like not a static quickness penalty, it's a percentage based on how close an enemy is to you. So if you get it to high levels, you can go above 100% quickness penalty. And it's affected by willpower, which again is really nice, meaning that you can Use it more often. It's a banger. Has a short duration. In fact, what is the duration? The duration is 15 rounds. So, and I don't believe that changes depending on level. It's really good. Triple jointed. Triple jointed is another good one. Kind of like double muscled. It allows you to increase your agility when you level it up. It's cheaper. It's 3 points. And it's not as useful, in my opinion, because strength is a bit more useful for most builds. Unless you're doing like a super ranged kind of build. Triple jointed, 3 points, allows you to level up your agility, your attribute. I will say the cool thing about it is it has a chance to negate any kind of cooldown on agility based abilities. So if you're doing like a short blade or a ranged build, this can be really, really powerful. At level 10, it gives you +6 to your agility modifier. And it gives you a... Sorry, to your agility, not your agility modifier. And it gives you a 37% chance to cancel a cooldown. Which is crack. So if you're doing like a multi-weapon fighting build, for example, and you're using flurry, like there's a chance you can just keep flurrying like back to back. Pretty cracked. In fact, if you can somehow manage to get it to level 30, it will have a 97% chance to cancel a cooldown, which is ridiculous. It does let you spam shanks, yes. It's a sick ability. Do I think it's as good as double muscled? No, but it's also in A tier. But it's lower. I would put it like here. I would put it maybe here. I think, would I rather have regen? Sometimes. I think agility is objectively, you know, not as useful most of the time. So base is 10 from points. You need how many rapid advancements? So 13, 16, 19, 22, 25, 28. You'd have to get to like level 75 or something to get it to that level, which is ridiculous. Or you could use adrenaline, that's probably the easier way. Alright, where are we at now? Two-headed. Alright, two-headed gives you 2 heads. Surprise, surprise. It's a 3-pointer. Mental actions have a lower action cost. And it has a 50% chance to shake off negative mental status effects. That's probably the biggest power to two-headed. Also, the ability to wear 2 hats is pretty sick. But then again, like everything, if you have additional slot body parts, the armor slot has to be averaged out. So, I don't know. The additional face slot is also nice if you want to, for example, go crazy with ego. The weird thing about two-headed, though, is that it is a physical mutation, even though it benefits Esper mutations. 2 hats can mean 4 faces with two-faced as well. And if you can get, like, you know, if you can cut some enemies' faces off, you can get potentially 12 extra ego from that. Meaning it can really supplement a lot of the Esper abilities. But if you're playing a pure Esper, you cannot get it, because it is a Chimera mutation. Pretty good. The reduced mental action cost is also really good. Can shake off sleeping, dazes, you know, stunned, all of those things, terror. It also means if you get your head accidentally cut off, then you're not dead because you have another one. Where would I rank it? It's a hard one. I think it's around here. I think it's a B tier. It's like a high B for me. Maybe here. I'll be honest, I don't use it as much as a lot of people probably do. The ability to have an extra head is sick though, I will say that. Oh. I need to buy a new mouse. My scroll wheel's got a mind of its own. Didn't even touch it that time, it just went oop. Yeah, I think that's fair. Let me zoom out like slightly here. Just so we can see that beautiful bell curve taking shape. See, I told you, it's kind of working. We need more B tier stuff. There we go. Perfectly balanced. And you know what? Whilst we're here, put that there. For symmetry's sake. A lot of players wouldn't mind it being an A tier. That's, yeah, true. For me, and this is, you know, this is a subjective tier list. For me, it's a B tier. When you have high rank 2 heads, you can fire off light manipulations for 0 action cost. True. That is actually a big plus. You know, because of that, I'm going to move up 1. There we go. It's going to go, yeah, it's going to go here. All right, we're down to the final 3 mutations. Thank God we've done it. How long have we been going? I think we're going to do it quicker than we did before, which is surprising. Okay. Two-hearted. Two-hearted is in the same way that double muscle gives you strength and triple jointed gives you agility. This gives you toughness. Do not ever sleep on toughness. This is a 3-point cost, and it gives you 1 extra point of toughness, and at level 10 it will give you +6 toughness. It also gives you extra duration to your sprint, which is actually really nice. Also, I would say toughness is if you know what you're doing in Caves of Cud and you know you're going to survive into the late game. Toughness becomes really, really important. It's an easy A tier. I think personally, I give it just a little bit of a push beyond triple jointed. I would put it about here. I'd maybe put it here. It's boring, but you're never upset to have more HP. You know, being able to survive longer. It's pretty cheap for what it does. And it gives you attributes. I mean, you can't be sad at that, right? Like more toughness is always good. There's not really much else to say beyond that. Like, you need HP to survive. The skills it unlocks aren't nearly as useful as what triple jointed double muscle can open up. Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's mostly going to be what the endurance tree that this is going to unlock. But I think just the fact that this gives you a kind of like innate survivability, whereas these are more like, you know, offensive. This is maybe a bit more utilitarian, but this one here is just straight up survivability. I have actually made a defect tier list, Mr. Spaghetti Zone. I will do that at some point, maybe next week. Where would unstable genome go? Maybe high B tier. It's fun, but it's unreliable, obviously. And you can get screwed over. Yeah, I would love to do a cybernetic tier list at some point. I will need to make the tier list, which is going to be hard because there's a lot of cybernetics in the game. Right, let's move on to our last true mutation, right, which is wings. Wings is 4 points. It allows you to fly. At level 6 and beyond, you'll never fall down from flying. Whilst flying, you're basically immune to melee attacks, but you can still be hit by ranged. I personally don't think wings is that good. Some people absolutely love wings. I think level 6 and above, it's good, but also bear in mind, wings only work on the surface. Considering the most fun I have in CUD is when I'm below the surface. It does also increase your charge radius, which is something that people who love it always like to bring up. But it's a low A. No, I'm gonna be honest. It's a high B for me. Would I rather have freezing ray than wings? Yes. Would I rather have domination? Again, that's a special case. I'm gonna put wings here. And I know some people will hate that. I know it's quite divisive. The jump range and the charge range is a nice little bonus for sure. But I think for a 4-point mutation, I will say though, the extra rep with winged mammals is really nice for not having to worry about saps. You know what? Here, for the wing enjoyers, I'm going to move it up 1 slot. That's the best I can offer. It's completely useless underground. Well, other than the charge. It's pentaceps for mutants, exactly. Anything else we want to say about wings? I don't know. I don't think so. I will say one cool thing you can... You know what? One thing you can do with wings that's really cool is with Tomb of the Eaters, you can just fly straight up. And just... It's fairly... It's got good utility. Let's put it that way, right? It doubles your sprint speed. Really? Is that true? I actually didn't know that. It does 10 plus your level times 10. Alright, you know what? I actually didn't know about this. I didn't know about the sprint thing. If that, in that case, you know, why is burgeoning all the way down here? That goes... Well, I can't put it any higher than this. The sprint speed is a nice... I'll be honest, I didn't know that. Hey, Action Johnson, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate that immensely. I'm gonna snooze the ads for the next 5 minutes or so we can finish this off. Yeah, it lets you go up and down Rustwells and also Golgotha. I know, yeah. Having it above Freezing Ray is wild. You're not wrong. You're actually not wrong. Shit. Yeah, you're not wrong. Let me quickly deal with Metamorphosis. I mean, technically you can't pick this. You have to dominate Crowsong to get it. But it allows you to turn into anything, which I think instantly puts it as tier, but it's not truly... I don't even know whether or not to include it in here. Oh god, I can't put it back now. I have to. Okay, never mind. It is essentially a hack, though. It's never been proper... It's never been, like, implemented properly. You know, you can just type in whatever you want to become, and you'll become it, which I guess means it has to go in S tier. So, congratulations. I don't want to put it there, but it is objectively there. Right? And there you go. I think... Right. Let's just look through one moment and see if there's anything... You tried burgeoning and the explosions destroyed your loot. That's part of the fun, White Sorcerer. One thing you should know about me is I like to play Caves of Cards risky and chaotic and fast. So for me, burgeoning is perfect, but it's not for everybody. Get it to higher levels and eventually you don't get the tumbling pods anymore. Flaming Ray being above multiple legs and heightened quickness is criminal. Flaming Ray is above heightened quickness? Oh my god, it is. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna put heightened quickness here. Time dilation. I'm gonna swap these out. I would like to put precognition lower, purely because it's more mechanical than, you know, but I'll leave it where it is. Double muscled, quickness, horns, flaming ray. Yeah, there's definitely a case for these to move up, but for me personally, I love flaming ray. I do think objectively it should be a bit lower, but I'm gonna leave it here. I would like to move burgeoning up, but I don't think it's... I think regen is so good, but it's also so boring. I'm gonna move it below burgeoning, I think. Having wings here does rub me up the wrong way slightly, but I will leave it. Carapace. Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to read too much into it. You're confused by Carapace being in B. You have to watch the VOD. I would actually like to do a disintegration build at some point, just to give it a fair shake. Yeah, night vision is my favorite of all of the one-pointers, but it only lets you see, you know, like a few tiles away from you. That said, you know what? Yeah, I would rather have it than most of this shit. There you go. That's the best I can offer. And I feel like this is going to be the final. If any of you do your own tier list and you're on the Discord, and you can find a link to that on YouTube below the video or on the page, or you can put ! Discord. I will do that in Twitch for a link. But that's how it's staying. If you end up doing a tier list of your own, please share it with me. I would love to see how wrong you are. Yeah, phasing is a... Where did I put phasing? I put it in B tier, right? I don't know. I literally can't... There, I did. Yeah, it's in B tier. Yeah, go a full-on burgeoning one. That'd be sick. Burgeoning is really, really good, I promise. Well, ladies and gents, I think that's the list. If there's anything that you missed, you can go check it in the VOD. I will make sure to put timestamps in at some point in the future. You'd like to see a meme tier list for mutations. I can do that. I'm going to definitely do a defect tier list. I have one made already and uploaded to Tier List Maker. And then definitely a cybernetics tier list as well at some point would be, I think, really good. I think that's it though for us. I think I might raid out here. I'm sorry to cut it short, but I am not feeling great and I cannot stop coughing. Why don't we see if there's any fellow Caves of Cudders online right now and send them a little raid. Wow, 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 wow. Right, let's have a look. Tell you what, let's go raid Scholarly Frog over on Twitch. On YouTube, this is the end, I'm afraid. I want to say thank you very much to everybody who was here today. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for the bits and the subs over on Twitch. Thank you very much for the memberships and the follows. I encourage you to hit the follow button on Twitch and the sub button on YouTube if you're not already. And the next stream will be on Sunday, where we will be playing Cogmind, which I know I've been saying for a long time, but it's actually happening this time, I promise. Or my name isn't Rouge Rat. Thanks, man. Thank you. Cheers, Loquatran. Action Johnson, thank you very much for the bits. Again, thank you for being here. See you, Gold. See you, Spaghetti. Meme Extremist, Gunfox, Travnas, Frizz, Gent, Rex Major, Big Leddy, Arcane Defense. And I promise you, next CUD run will be a friggin' damage reflection build. Anyway, I'm gonna raid out now on Twitch. Thank you guys very much for being here, and I will see you on Sunday. Take it easy.